You've got no idea. When you've got your granddaughter, Tiana, telling you, Nanny, don't sing. Whoa, who do you think you are? Don't sing, Nanny, don't sing.
We haven't told her to say that either.
Isn't it? That's the worst thing. I'm thinking she's been having private conversations with Shelley Timmins and the gang. Oh, greetings to the masses out there. Welcome to Reatalk with Simply Deez, Tuesday, the 6th of August, 2024. My giddy aunt show. Did I say August?
Yeah.
We slept through the year. Yeah, it's one of them. So if you think the pace is going to get slower this half of the year, you must know it only gets faster. And then when you're mindful of that and you're mindful of dates and you're trying to cram in probably as much as you can, it goes even faster. So welcome, everybody. Welcome. You know the drill, shall we say, but we need you to share. We need you to be subscribing to our pages. Shall just tell the masses out there, not that they shouldn't know, but do you know what? We can tell how many have subscribed to our YouTube channel currently right now, this very second, this very minute. So by the end of the show, I always give Shell work to do, the producer. Let us know if that has increased. So this is a task that is being set to the masses out there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel / page, Simply Deez events page. So much going on. We are doing a lot of collaborating and supporting a lot of organisations this year. So I don't think we may be being quiet. We're doing our stuff in the background that you will, Shelley and Cecile going, oh my God, know about very shortly. But in the meantime, we are supporting many others locally, nationally, and even overseas, guys. We don't ramp. We don't ramp. So I'm actually on my Facebook page, and I've got a picture of a few people who were at Reggae Land. And I know that you were speaking about that earlier on today, Shell. And obviously the Simply Together show today was pretty awesome. Do you want to just kind of just give us a feel? Because we're just waiting for our first guest to join us, who should be joining us very shortly, if he's not already there.
No. We had quite a varied show today. Just a general conversation between us.
Mm-hmm.
No guests. So we started off because of Reggae Land and saying how big that's then become over there. And of course, then we had to then mention the whole thing with like the stupidity that's going on around the country with the riots. That's the only thing you can actually call them, is actual riots. It's not anything to do with those children, and the way I feel like the way the media is actually then putting that, they might as well just not start off with they started off because of what happened to those children.
200%, yeah, because you're linking that. You're linking it, aren't you?
Yes. Wasn't it? I was trying to think of it all of today. That that one of the parents from another action way back was then not in my child's name. That's all she then kept saying was on the press conference, not in my child's name. And that's the same way that I feel about this. It's something that's then been skewed and make them believe what they're doing is for a cause when it's not. There's no rhyme or reason to it at all. And then going on from that, slightly squiffy, we had our girl Samara then saying about one evening that she then had out, and she doesn't go out much, that two separate occasions, so two separate places, but in both places she actually had other women belittle her, come like be very confrontational, and we just had this whole discussion on how women just don't back each other up. What on earth is going on? Are you that insecure about your life that you want to pull someone down? Are you? So is that to do with your mental health? Is that to do with jealousy? Is that to do with how confident you feel in a situation?
Insecure.
Yeah. And it just, yeah, and girls growing up seem to be got more of an attitude with each other rather than helping each other out. They will actually then go to pettiness, even to the point where they know.
Well, some of it's not actually petty, is it, Shell?
No, it can turn it something that's then really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
They can turn boys against one another to fight over them. They can.
Oh yeah.
They can then turn around and start rumors and stuff, and then not realizing what's then behind all of that,
and the ramifications of something that, like, oh, it's just a little thing, can end up as in something.
I watch a lot of this kind of like real life police crime kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when they've got sort of, they're on the night shift and they turn up at a pub and it's blokes that are arguing, 9 times out of 10 it's the ladies that have caused it in some way or another, whether it's that they've flirted with a bloke and that their bloke doesn't like it, so that kicks off, or whether it's because the women have actually then got in an argument themselves and then the men have stepped in trying to be all bravado, and then it then causes the police to come out. But it is pretty much 9 times out of 10 there's a woman there for something, and it's like, come on.
So much has changed.
Yeah,
so much has changed, guys. You've got the chat there. Please use it. Please engage. Let us know your thoughts and your views. You might think me and Shell are totally like off and like, are we on this planet? Are we kind of like, yeah, we're old and we ain't got a clue? You know, let us, seriously. All right, Shell's going like me. But let us know. It's a whole different ball game out there now. It really is. I think we were talking the other day, the times when, and I know that there is, as always, there isn't necessarily sort of like a thread, but there ends up being a thread.
Yeah.
By the time you're thinking like, that's what, and it's not how it's just how it manifests itself. How there were the times when, you know, my brothers used to go out. Obviously, I'm talking back in the 70s, early 70s, and go out clubbing or whatever it was. What's the worst thing back then? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You might come home with a bloody nose.
Yeah.
Somebody's thumped you, you thumped them back. Then guess what? You pick them up or they pick you up, and you end up shaking hands and both going your own way.
Yeah.
Girls might have their little spat. Nothing major at all. And it's like, it's literally, it's not even gone a 180. You're talking near on 360.
And you're kind of almost frightened to open your mouth sometimes because you don't know how the other person's going to react, what they've got or anything. Because most of the kids nowadays are carrying weapons because they want to stay safe. And
that's what they believe they're doing yeah.
So yeah, they then lash out. So whereas you would have knocked 7 bells out of each other, that you nowadays it's not that. It's the weapon that then comes into it, whatever that happens to be. And some of these weapons are huge, because they then know, of course, you then got your backup. You've got mobile phones, you've got like this text messaging that was kind of like, yep, just had this thing, I'm not having it. All right, okay,
Yeah.
come up. And a car pulls up and everything comes out the back of the car. So it could have absolutely anything that is then aimed at you. And it could just be something as simple as bumping into them in the club. Brilliant, like you
Yeah.
getting
Guess what? You looked at me a little. You didn't look at me right. I don't like the way you looked at me.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What's your
What's
problem?
that look for?
Excuse me. I've had that once before. You know, I'm wearing now glasses. And I go through a stage of not wearing glasses. I didn't need them, but now I've got older and I need glasses again. In that bit just before I was needing to wear them all the time, I went out and I wasn't wearing my glasses. And I had someone come up to me and goes, "What are you staring at me like that for? You know, what's that look for?" I said, "Love, I can't actually see." I thought you were one of my friends. But that
Attitude.
could have been, who the hell do you think you're looking at? And I could have ended up in a serious situation. Or because I could not see.
Careful out there, people. Please, we beg you, be careful. There is going to be a thread today, I know already. Is Bob in the wings or not, Shell? He's not in the wings. Okay. No problem, because we're going to keep it, do you know what I mean? We're going to keep it moving. People. I think, is this the second or the third week of the holidays, Shell? This is the third week, isn't it?
We're just gone into the third week, yeah.
They've just started and we're already in the third week of the school holidays. So I'm going to throw some stuff out there. We're going to throw things out there and we'd really love for you to comment feedback. If you're a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, or someone that is looking after the kids, whether it be for 1 hour or whether it be for a lot longer, how's it going? I did hear Samara today and she's having a fabulous time. Do you know what I mean? She's having a fabulous time with the kids. But that might necessarily be for everyone. What are you doing with them? How are you entertaining them? Because let me tell you something now. The things that I've seen are money. Unless you know, there's a cost. But you need to be aware of these things. Pack a few sweetie. Pack some crisp. Pack some drink. And take them to the park. Take them to the downs. Who's that? Oh, that's your friend Amanda.
Yeah.
Oh, she loves. Hi, Amanda. Do they love being on holiday with you, Amanda? That's my question.
Well, Amanda now, there's quite a lot of holidays we've had that they haven't been managed to go away. They've now bought a camper van, and Aaron has got enough of
electricity
to have all of his gadgets and the TV, and they know that they can go off grid for the whole weekend and still have enough electricity in this camper van. So they can hook up to the electric, but they've got enough that if they go off grid, that they've got enough that can power everything. And yeah, they're just away. They're just away on the weekends. And it is good. It's so good for them. So good for them. But then, of course, they've got Jake working and everything else. So it's kind of, whether he gets to go away quite often is a different matter if he's working. But yeah, it's good that they've managed to get away and stuff. At least once a month. Actually, I was just about to say, yeah. So some campsites are better than others. Some are quite expensive and not have everything there. Yes, yeah. There's been a couple of them that she's been to that have been sort of expensive, and but they're not as good as some of the cheapy ones. So yeah, shop around for your campsites, people. But yeah, again, just going away for the weekend in a camper van, you've got somewhere to put your head, and you're just out and about with the kids, whether it's raining or if it's not. There are a lot of coach companies and deals and things that you can actually then get out and about with the kids. And there's even the way Luton is, we are surrounded by amazing countryside. So if you haven't got any money, as Dee just said, book a picnic, get on a bus, book a taxi, whatever, and just go out to any of the hills that are around Luton, and yeah, just get out and about and getting out and about the countryside. At least it actually then gets you out of the house. Gets you.
And sometimes that's all you need, isn't it? Is to be out of that environment of the home and just be out, the fresh air, as you said, whether it's raining, it's not raining, is just to get out.
And as Amanda's just reminded me, geocaching.
What's that? Never heard of it.
It's an app that's on your phone, and people have gone out and they've placed little clues and bits and pieces. So you'll actually have a map that you can actually walk around and find all these clues that are hidden in like trees or whatever else. And it is just walking, but you've actually got a purpose for your walk. It's an amazing, amazing thing. It's been going for quite a few years now. There's a lot of people that play it, do it. I'm not
I know what you mean. They know what you mean. Is Amanda, because obviously you're on it tonight, love. How about throwing in a link for this app or just something more, so that people can see?
You want to do that, Amanda? Or am
I doing what you're referring to?
But yeah, it is an amazing thing, and it really does get you out and about in different areas that you perhaps wouldn't have actually been to before. That there might be a way that you'd always walk in a particular place, like you go to your favourite seaside or whatever, and it's suddenly then taking you to somewhere that you've never been to before, and you could been living in that area for such a long time. There you go. Got the link in there now.
I'll check you out, Amanda. I might have you producing next time, Amanda. Somebody who's not going to hopefully talk back.
Ooh, she might talk back, though.
Somebody's gonna...
See, I would I would go out geocaching with Amanda and a friend, but Aaron likes going up really high hills, and I'm not very good at walking up high hills. So I'd be like, yeah. Oh, see, look. I'm
worse than Shelley. Not a chance. Not possible, Amanda. Not possible. Not possible.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. What was I going to say? My brain's gone. There's just so many things, and my phone's kind of like going, and I'm just checking because like different people are messaging.
The whole kid thing. If you're looking on our Facebook pages, so whether that be on our page or our groups, like the In Together, Share Together, or the Friends of Simply Deez, there's been a lot that I've been sharing in there, or we've both been sharing in there, that different activities that are happening all around Luton.
There's loads, isn't there?
All around Bedfordshire, really.
Yep.
And the national ones where you've then getting like your cheaper meal deals or free, kids eat free if you're eating there kind of deals.
Yep.
Because there's a lot that's still being funded by government for the HAF project, which is which.
Yeah, people are going to say, "What's HAF? HAF what? What does that mean?"
What it's basically doing is making sure that children are healthy and fed through the summer holidays, because you're not under the care of the school. So during the summer holidays, they've got the funding. So charities and different projects put stuff on during these holidays, in which they're either keeping them fit, keeping them safe, and feeding them and looking after them during those summer holidays.
Brilliant, because it is a hard. I remember, oh my gosh, I remember way back then, and it was a case of having to sort of like juggle work, having to what you're going to do with them. And I would used to go to, you know, like the community centres. So I don't even know if they still do. Community, so many activities.
Yeah.
So many.
Since half, there's more community centres that are doing stuff. But because we've lost the community centres, I remember when I was at high school, I was then
A few years back then.
babysitting. I was actually babysitting like younger kids, not little tiny kids, but younger kids. And Luton Borough Council used to do a programme with like Luton baths.
Oh yeah,
Bath Road swimming pool, and a couple of the sports centres, and Wardown Park, and the cricket, and there was a couple of other things. And you would actually book your places on the summer scheme.
Yep.
Similar to what Have to, but because the mum was working, I would then be the one that would pick up the money for the post office, go and take the kids out. And they were amazing schemes. And then of course then something stopped. But now it's come back, and like half of them part of it. So but that for Luton, like Bath Road, when you went as a visitor there, you actually went behind the scenes. You could see how the pool worked and everything. It was an amazing day. The kids absolutely loved it because they went to go behind the door that was normally locked all the time, you know. But yeah, they were actually showing you sort of like what it meant to be a lifeguard and everything else. So, but yeah, it's there's a lot on there that you can do with the kids now.
I literally would go to drop them on one scheme. It's like maybe 2.5 hours. Then go pick them up, and then I'd go to another one and drop them off for another 2.5. So I ended up being able to do my, do you know what I mean, a good portion of my hours, and they were safe and looked after and made new friends and all of that razzmatazz. So, you know, I was very grateful for those schemes. Very grateful for the whole of the summer. Do you know what I mean? For the whole of the summer period. I know our friend, No Ordinary Bookshop.
Yes.
And she is still our friend, guys. But she's not in Luton anymore.
No. She upscaled.
She did. She did.
I
don't think she'd mind me saying, actually. But she was in Luton for a good few years.
Yeah.
I think she came probably during COVID time. And she was in Luton for a good few years. And the support wasn't what it should have been, Shell.
No. Not as much.
Look, for those that are watching and thinking like, oh, here we go. The show's called Reatalk. The support wasn't what it was. And even though she lived in Luton, and that travel ain't no joke. You might think, oh, Hemmel's only down the road. It's not when you're having to go so far with all the products and God knows whatever else she has, and setting up and just coordinating things. And then you've still got to come home and do all your usual stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of love in Hertfordshire that she's getting. And she's in the Marlows, isn't it? Is it the Marlows?
Yeah, the Marlows shopping centre, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got the bookshop, so the bookshop is then online.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also then got that as a museum. And she did do it as a pop-up up here for a few times.
Yeah.
But she's actually got that as a permanent feature where she is now. It's actually got all of those bits and pieces. So it is a lot there that's it's a history of everything. It's Windrush. It's further back than that. It's further forward than that as well. There's so much that she's then got in there. That's it's almost like a people's history as well as part of it. So it's not just a generic Black history. It is sort of like some personal people stuff that's in there as well. So yeah, I was just gonna I was finding the links to actually put them in on there, and sort of the amount of books that she's then got, and the diversity of the books that she's got. I mean, people did say there's no Black books, but yeah, there are. Yeah,
and this is the kind of thing that we know. I'm not saying we think, because we know on the show the amount of organisations and individuals that come on and share things, information. And a lot of these things are not out there, or they may be out there, but we're reaching a different audience. And all we ask people to do is to share that. Let's get those really important messages out there. Because I know for a fact there are people that just will click on this link and maybe watch a show, and there's something in there that is what they need at that given time.
Yeah, because the things like that Angel's doing in the No Ordinary Bookshop, I mean, it's just a bookshop in theory, but it's not. She's got the authors coming in and talking about their books, so that could inspire someone to then say, perhaps my own story is something that I want to write about, or I've got my own story that I want to actually write. And she's had illustrators, but she also then does the fundraisers and stuff down there as well.
Lots of activities.
Yeah, cupcake decorating, biscuit decorating. There was an arts and craft one, and then there was the design your own bag for the arts and craft thing that she had down there. So there's always something that she's got going on down there. Because it's a community project that she's got going on. She wants people to be not just interested in books, but interested in that history, and just be safe. It's just a safe community space.
And also the word community is for everybody to get together. You just pop you could pop in there, and you've gone in there for, I don't know, whether it be to look at a book, maybe to look at the museum, and then you end up chatting to people you don't know. And that's the whole concept of what Angel does. She's very passionate about the community, and she is making a difference. So I will be sending you this link so that you can see that, Angel. We have not forgotten you. We do miss you. Louise has just messaged me. Sorry.
I know you said we were going to have a chat at the beginning, but I didn't realise
So, because you're talking about books, Shelley Titmus, I think it's only right.
Oh, right.
It's only right that we talk about book tree, the deadline, and what people need to do. Have we got community Zoom on Thursday?
We've got a community Zoom, but it was coming up after. Oh, we could do community Zoom this Thursday. Yeah. Okay, tell the folks what's happening. So we had book one came out during lockdown. We had book two came out just as we were coming out of lockdown, still kind of like unsure and everything. So now we are supposedly in the new normal and completely out of it. COVID is still kind of around-ish a bit, but how are you feeling since coming through all that COVID times? So we were thinking of doing the book three, just to think up. Well, we're still thinking about it. If people are not interested and not reply to us, then what, we're going to do one just between the three of us?
Why not? Why not? We'll show them, shall we? Do you know what I mean? 4,000 words each. Off we go.
The book one, book two, for anyone that didn't know, we had 1,000 words each, and it was just you could use that as you wanted to. So whether that be poetry, whether that be like mine, that was a bit of a diary, whether that be just general feeling of how either you or those around you were affected. And yeah, so it's just then that compilation again, to tie everything all up together, open to everyone. Book one happened to be all ladies together, even though we have got men in the group, just the way that it went.
Yeah.
Book two did have a mixture. Book three, we could open to anyone that we've come across since we had our first book one, book twos. And it could be that you want to tie up your story. You could have a brand new story. Yeah, anything to tie all of those two books and the third book in together. So you can't obviously just turn around and talk about anything, but it's just related, loosely related to sort of like the COVID and how you actually then feel things are gone. Because there's so many other things that are tied into that sort of how people are always now working from home more than they ever did before. How we're having Zoom calls as meetings more than you ever did before. As you, it's sort of like, so the whole work situation has changed.
Yeah.
Schooling has changed. Training has changed. If you get back to, like me, we're working with the Ollie Foundation, that was always face-to-face training. Now it's all then developed that we can actually then do that as an online training and be able to offer it out to more and more people than we ever could before, because it is online. Or do you feel like we're actually lost part of our community, that people are not getting together as much as they used to anymore? There's not the big parties. There's not the big dropping into your house all the time that you perhaps would have had before. So all of that kind of stuff is all your thoughts and stuff that you could put down into your little chapter. I say your little chapter because it is still.
That's it.
2,000 words.
Yeah, because I remember at the time, and even now, there are pluses, and I'm sure there are minuses as well for everybody. How are you feeling now? I think I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago and sort of saying, back then, there's this thing called COVID that came about, and wow, did we, not just as in like Simply Deez, I'm talking about we as in the global we, did we not rally together? Did we not support one another? Even those maybe you wouldn't have been, maybe your neighbour that you hadn't spoken to and wouldn't speak to, but do you know what? You kind of put that aside.
Yeah.
And it was a case of like, yeah. Because one storm, different boats.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sorry.
It kind of highlighted some things as well that perhaps needed to be highlighted in these situations as well. Like suddenly having like partners at home or whatever, but also for the kids. I don't know whether Amanda's still watching. In her situation where she had her eldest who's autistic that was in a special school, that because he's classed as non-verbal, when they were sending home the homework, if you like, they were sending him things that was not engaging his brain whatsoever, because he was far, 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 far more intelligent than what they were actually giving him, just because of that non-verbal status. Just because he doesn't speak it, he certainly types it. He certainly gets his point across. But they were giving him very, very basic tasks like, did you make your bed today? And perhaps you should try this. And it's like, no, he can actually do computer programming as an A level at that point, and you're giving him some basic tasks. So there was was something there that was then really, really highlighted, and was a big change for them. But yeah, it just, I mean, and then sort of like with our Tishi and stuff, it's exactly the same situation. Just because someone does support doesn't mean that there's nothing behind that. There's way more than you're actually then thinking there's behind that. So yes, there were certain things that were then like highlighted. Yeah, such a strange time. Feels so.
It's surreal, isn't it? It's literally like, right. It's like somebody flicked a switch, and you're thinking like, I don't know. We went literally from one day to, I feel like literally the following day, life just changed.
Yeah, definitely. It was the changing of things so quickly that kind of, yeah.
And the ramifications of that we will still see in years to come. The amount of years that, exactly what you say now, as in those that didn't go to school or were being homeschooled. So in terms of relationships that, you know, they form with their peers, all that sort of stuff. And even parents, to be honest with you, because it's a case of like, it's not no joke trying to teach your kids.
Nah.
It's a little bit different when you're doing homework every now and again and all that sort of stuff. But every day when you're being given things that you're expected to, you know, see that they've done the work and all the rest of that, was a lot. Yeah.
And then it's some people that they actually preferred having lockdown.
Yeah.
That they actually preferred having the whole, I don't need to go out, I don't need to speak to anyone.
Yeah.
I can do my job better being in my own little space. Yeah. As Amanda said, sort of like, yeah, she enjoyed the peace and the slower pace. When you've got kids and you're running around here, there, and everywhere and trying to keep up with all of the different things that have been going on, to suddenly then be, right, you can actually stay at home. We actually prefer you to stay at home. You don't need to run around and do all this stuff. Yeah, complete change, and so for so many businesses that there's no, you can't work from home. There's no way you can work from home, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we've actually found a way of working from home.
Yeah, and then it's like, right, now you're going back in, but we don't need to.
Yeah,
you've proven to us that you made us, but now you want us back in. Why? Are you more productive? But some people, it works for some. I found I was more productive at home.
Yes. Yeah.
And not just work-wise, productive at home, exactly. And having that time to, I don't know, I'm being honest with you, it's show's called Reatalk. Stick the washing on, put the dinner on.
Yeah.
And just things, what people think are little things are massive. Not as tired because you haven't literally done, right, in the morning, you're up, sorting yourself out, off you go. And then, the whole dinner thing when you get in, the washing, sorting the kids, there's no time. And that's what I think it taught a lot of us, time, how precious time is and what we do with our time. And things that we thought were important, we realised actually weren't important.
Yeah. There's so many people that have moved out of London now because they can work from home and they realise they don't have to be in the centre of things. There's a lot, because where my mum's in Weymouth, there's a lot that have moved kind of that way because they're quite close-ish to train line that will get them straight into London on the days that they need to be in the office. Yeah, it really has changed. And going on to design with like changing the education and stuff. There's so much nowadays that it kind of wants to check that they're learning things, but it's turned into more tests. Which is not, those kind of tests are not any good for people. Some people just don't learn by having tests and remembering things and everything else. That was the whole reason why GCSEs changed, because it was exams and practicals. They actually prove that you're learning what you're actually doing. But there seems to be more and more of these tests to make sure everyone's learning the same thing and everything else, and it's just not working. You haven't got things like domestic sciences was the last thing they then called it. So your home ec. We're now like the second or the third generation down of people not actually learning how to cook at school, and it's just actually showing, because you say to people, well, if you was to cook that chicken on that day, you'll have leftovers for curry, stew, bones, whatever else the following day, and you can actually do all of these bits and pieces. We've got so many people that have not learned, because they can't learn from their parent, because their parent hasn't actually done any of that, to then know all these other bits and pieces. So they are just getting the meal for the day. Quite often it's the thing that's just shoved in the oven kind of thing, which is not a bad thing, but it's not giving you that's a cheaper option, that you could make your own thing. And just, so for instance, if I was doing a soup or a stew, if I couldn't afford all the meat, you'd bump it up with vegetables, and you wouldn't necessarily know the same thing because it's got the same seasoning and everything else in it. Whereas if you've bought that from the shop, you're just putting that on, and you're just spending that money, and there's no other way to cut the costs, because you're buying a convenience food. Yes, there's so much of that filters through. So the whole learning thing, sort of anything that they're actually learning is filtering through and then getting lost, because you've got people that don't actually learn that same way. With autism, ADHD, you're learning things in a different way. It's not that your brain is broken. It's not that you can't learn. It's the way that you're learning is then different.
It's just wired differently. Nearly had Olive on today. She will be coming back on. Certainly going to get her on during the summer. Do you know what I mean? During the summer break, whether that be the Simply Together show or on Reatalk. So many things. I really wanted her on today, really. That if we can get her on the Simply Together show, because there's so many things that as parents now, we should not assume anything from parents. And that's not taking anything away from you as a parent. But there's a lot of assumptions. You know. How do you know I know? You're assuming that I know certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've gone through school and you've learnt something doesn't mean to say that you've learnt it the same way. I mean, they're teaching them maths in a different way that we would have learnt maths. So whenever I've looked at it and someone said something about, oh, we're learning that today, I think, well, what the hell is that? And then when you look at it, you go, oh, right, okay, so they've actually just got a different name for it.
Yeah, a different name or a different way of, yeah. And I know it might have been a little while ago, but if Trish is on, or anybody else in the education system right now, it was a case of the kids coming into school. You'd think at the age of sort of like 4 or 5, that kind of age.
Yeah.
Basics. What do we call basics? Guys who are watching there, what would you deem as basics that you would expect a 4 or 5-year-old to be going into school with? Knowing, when we say manners, as in please and thank you. Basics, real basics. So already, before you've even started, you're having to teach basics.
Yeah.
You're having to, and when I say basics, I mean, come on, please and thank you. And when you hear parents, and this is true, this isn't just makeup, parents sort of saying, it is the school's job to teach my child.
Yeah.
My job as a parent is to get my child to school. So it's the onus, everything we put onto schools. So for me as a parent, and that's why I became parent governor and whatever else, we have to. Yeah, they hated it. I loved it. I'm keeping it real. I loved it.
You followed
And
them as well. That's the
yeah,
thing.
primary, left primary, high school. Because back then I was one of them parents that moaned about the schools. And say you guys watching out there, you're the same. Oh, the school, this, the school, that, and they're this and they're that, and why don't they? Why don't they? You've got all the answers, all the suggestions, everything, but yet you haven't got the time. You can make the time. Because they are always crying out for governors at schools. And everyone's going like, I haven't got time. Back then, it's a while ago, once a term? A couple of hours? What's that, once every 7 weeks or something? Cool, I mean, they probably do on Zooms now, I don't even know. No, it's serious though, isn't it? How do we expect things to change when we haven't got time as parents, as carers? We don't have time to be part of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's the mandarin?
She was a school governor as well. I knew she was a school governor somewhere, but yeah, it was the boys' nursery. But it's just the silliest thing where people say, well, I don't know how to teach and whatever else. But if it's something simple as you going shopping, while you're talking to your kids, they're knowing sort of the names of certain things, how to say certain things, saying please and thank you,
of course,
what money is, everything. If you're just involving them in your general day-to-day, they're learning. They're naturally learning. That is what their brain is doing all the time while they're then out there. That they will copy everything that they're then seeing, which is why when you're at a nursery level, when I was when I was then actually as training as a nursery nurse, we had to you had a little corner that was like the home corner. It was set up like so you had a kitchen and a front room kind of set up in a corner.
Yeah.
And we would then be told to do just an observation of a child playing today, and you could pick whichever child that it was. So whoever happened to come into this home corner, I was just like doing this for the home corner, but the child was repeating what was happening at home. Cool. So I've come out of this corner, out of the little bit that I was over looking over the top and observing, crying with laughter. And the teacher then said, "Why? What's the matter?" And she said, because I was then saying, well, you know, so-and-so was in there. She was in there and she was doing all the washing up and she pretended to do the ironing. Then he came in, sat down at the table and said, "What's for dinner?" I was just kidding myself. And it's like, for a split second, I know exactly what those two children's lives are like at home. Yeah. They're not related in any way. It was just the way that they were playing. And I thought, well, yeah, perhaps, yeah, any child could then come out and actually then like really, really, really kind of like dump their parents in it and show what's actually happening at home and why they repeat different things and why that they come out with stuff and why, even going back to the riots, why they react the way they do now, because they've learnt that it's a learned behaviour right from then.
Wow. You guys, so much. The UK's education system needs to be modernised. Very much so, Amanda, which is what I said. How can you? We want the changes, but we don't want to be part of it. But we're kind of like, come on, we've all got something to say. You know, what do they call them? Armchair critiques.
Yes. Yes.
And always, what do they say when you're pointing the finger? When you point your finger, 3 of those fingers are pointing back at you.
Yeah.
So you're pointing as in like,
I'm going to bring her
Think
on
about
because
it.
she's just really nodding her head just then.
Oh,
I've never heard that before.
what's that? About pointing your finger and 3 are pointing back at you. Are you not?
How many times have I waved my finger? I've been pointing my finger, and now I'm like, oh my God.
So the masses out there, they're thinking like, hang on a minute, who's this blonde chick?
Yes, yeah.
And we know who she is. We were kind of, can't think of the word, honoured. The show's called Reatalk, as you know, Louise, and I'm not even kidding. I'm trying to think. It's COVID times we came across you, wasn't it? It was during COVID.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, back end of COVID.
During COVID times, and so much has happened.
Crazy. So much. So much. Yeah.
So much has happened. So
Hi, Cecile.
So honestly, so much has happened. And Shay was just saying, because you know we've done the 2 books, Life in a Lockdown, Life Out of Lockdown. Book Tree, they're talking about Book Tree now. And it's a case of, I think the deadline's something like the 11th. Shelley will put it up there somewhere, the 11th of August, for people interested, whatever, to throw that in there. So I know who you are, Miss Clark. The masses out there, some do, some don't. So it's only right that we lay a certain foundation for them.
Okay.
Because when you're talking and sharing, it's like, who's she? What does she know?
Okay.
And I
so you want me to go way back. What do you want me to tell your listeners? Because there's been many versions of Louise, I think, would be the probably the best way to explain it.
I think that's important that we know that. So say, for instance, how I was at school, how I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, how I was this morning, how I am now. You know, and for people to think like, if you do change, does that mean that certain things happen and that's it, life's over? Or do we, I don't know, I think we're talking, is it reinvent, whatever you want to call it. So like an onion, I'm going to have to peel you back, Louise. Peel you back. Because when people understand our foundation, it's then a case of like, right, okay. And whilst you're going through that, your journey, different people's like, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. And actually, look where she's at. So there's hope. And that's how I see you. So, yeah, let's peel you right back, girl. Peel you right back. So you are one of how many? Where did you grow up? And just give us some of that early days stuff. But that's key because that's giving you the resilience to do all what you're doing now.
Okay. Well, thank you first for the introduction. You've definitely bigged me up there. So so I better make sure that I'm so I'm one of 3. I'm the youngest. I've got 2 older brothers, and I grew up in Sundon Park in Luton. My household was quite a violent household. My dad was a heavy drinker. My mum's staunch Catholic, so she stayed with him because that was her upbringing and her belief system. So with that, obviously we saw a lot of violence. So my dad, there was a lot of domestic violence. And what happened when I was young, because I'm the youngest, I witnessed my dad take that out on my brothers as well throughout their life. So by 9, I'd had enough, and I was getting into trouble. So I was first introduced to crime age 9. I was paid to listen to a scanner because back then it was really safe it was a different world. There was no internet and stuff. This is pre them times. So and the streets were a lot safer, or they were safer because we didn't have as much access to information and knowledge. So I'm not saying that they were, although I do think they were. We were just, I suppose, limited on what we knew. So we made decisions based on the little knowledge we had. So, at 9, I was hanging around in shop doorways till 10 o'clock at night. And then what happened was there was other people in the area that saw that, and they were sort of stealing cars and doing all that sort of stuff. And they paid me to listen to a scanner. Now, at the time,
sorry, we've got time, Louise, by the way. This isn't the short Simply Together show. This is you've got time. So I am going to interrupt because I need to understand certain things. Now, let me tell you something now. 9, you're in your bed. You're in your bed at 8 o'clock.
No, not in my house. Because the reason being is because my dad was so drunk. My mum worked nights. My mum worked Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday late shift. So and my dad was in the pub. And then if he wasn't in the pub, he was at home really argumentative. So for me, I was a latchkey kid. I just went out and I hung around with older people. So I lived at the top of Ashwell Avenue, so Grantham Way, Ashwell Avenue. And I sat there was little shops and we just sat in the doorway there. And I was, so then that was all I knew really. So that was before I started high school. And then I started smoking weed. So I was smoking weed at 10, 11, started high school. And by 12, I'd already been arrested twice and I was in court for the first time. So I went...
Sorry, what age?
12. 12 I was in court. First time I was in court. I'd already been arrested twice and I was in court because I'd had a fight and I'd headbutted somebody and I broke her nose. So, but again, it's really funny because now the person I am now, and obviously we'll talk through that as I go along. But when I look back at that now, I was really violent. I was really angry because I had all of these emotions, and I suppose I didn't know what life was. I didn't understand what life was. I could see my friends having a sort of normal life inside, but normal, what I would perceive to be normal as in at night in your bed. Yeah. So I would see that, but no one really asked about me. I've said this before, I don't know what if that was now, social services would have been all over it because I was covered in pot burns. I used to smoke Rocky or Red Seal back in the day, and I'd be covered in pot burns, but nobody would say anything. And obviously I got into trouble. I was in and out of trouble. And as I say, I got arrested twice. And then I went to court because it was a serious offence. I got given a conditional discharge, which was basically a warning, and told that if I get back up in that court again, they're going to bring this up. And it's funny because that courtroom, it's in the magistrates, but it's in the youth court, which is in a separate part. It's like, it was a real, when I look back, I just think, wow, it's like a completely, I don't even know if they've still got that youth court now, but that was that. So when I left there.
You don't sound, well, I mean, obviously you're relaying that. Were you not fearful at all?
No. What was I fearful when my house was violent all the time? What did I have to be fearful of? My safe place was violent. That's all I knew. So no one was going to scare me. Nothing was going to bother me. I was almost desensitized to that.
Right.
Because it was, we have something called our emotional home, which I've spoken about before, and that's the place that we go back to. And then obviously as I've got older, which we'll get into, my choice of partner was something that I'd been conditioned in. It wasn't, and it was something that was, even though physical violence hurt, actually being in a relationship with somebody that was violent, it was what I knew. So my emotional attachment was there, which made me stay for a longer period of time. But yeah, no, I wasn't fearful of anything. And I think that was the worst thing because I didn't care, really didn't. So then when I went back to school after the court case, and they expelled me and said, look, you can't come back. So I went to Card Newman. So that was in Leland's. I went to Card Newman to start my second year. And I played up because by this time I was like 12. I was smoking a lot of weed, hanging about. I was shoplifting. Just to give it some scale, by the time that I'd left school at 16, I'd been arrested 6 times. I was excluded 18 times in total. So I was expelled from Leland's, Cardinal Newman twice. They let me back in. And then Lee Manor, they didn't even know who I was. But yeah, 18 times was what I, left with no qualifications whatsoever. Nothing. I mean, there was instance in school where I kicked off and I smashed up the classrooms. I remember one, when I got expelled the last time from Cardinal Newman, I smashed up the classroom with a piece of wood off my nut. Like literally went berserk. I was always fighting. It was always lashing out. It was always a rage of just anger that I had no control over. So when I was, so obviously I was smoking weed from young. By the time I was like 13, 14, I was taking ecstasy and speed. And 15, I was dropping, I dropped 5 or 6 ecstasy tablets. It started off with a half. I'd go to Exeter, and then it was Milwaukee's on a Friday night, which was in Bedford, and then Labyrinth on a Saturday. And yeah, I would by 15, I would take 6 pills easy and speed in a night. I just didn't care.
So, I mean, I know your mum worked and that you sort of said about your dad. So what? Any other family members? I don't know. I had
2 older brothers.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's their stories to tell, but my older brother, he was in and out of trouble with police. He'd been arrested several times, went to prison. My younger brother, not my younger, but my middle brother, so I'm the youngest, but the next one up, the younger brother, he was, on the rave scene doing that. He was, straight. He was very straight, but we've all struggled with our own issues throughout our life. But I can't comment on theirs because that's their journey. But I can only comment on mine. But yeah, so I think, and the thing is, they used to say, she's crazy, she's in the head, she's wild. Everyone used to say it. They used to say, she's not right in the head. And they'd say, oh, your sister's not right in the head. Or I'd have people talking and saying, that girl over there, she's crazy. And I was. But it was because I didn't know who the hell I didn't know. I'd never had any guidance, yeah. Or even I didn't know what love was. It's something that when I say it out loud, it sounds bizarre, but like my mum, because she was in a violent relationship, she was just doing what she could do. Mm-hmm. She went to work from when I was 5, she was working nights. So that was her escape. And then when my dad was in the house, she lived on eggshells because he was drinking all the time. So she would always be on eggshells. And I know from me being in a relationship like that it's very hard to give and receive love when you're like that, because you are in a state of, you're in sort of fight and flight mode continually. So you're in stress mode. So you can't give and receive. So for me to be able to go, I never knew what it was like to feel love. So it was just, I just felt really kind of crazy. It was, and people say she's wild, she's in the head. And I actually was. So then obviously through school that I got worse. I took obviously lots more drugs and stuff, raving and doing all that sort of stuff, because I was just a rebel, like a real rebel without a cause. Well, was like, and the thing is, I used to love that saying as well, rebel without a cause. I kind of felt like, and it's funny because throughout my life, I've done different things and different jobs. But the one thing that I felt really that I owned and that I really felt comfortable in was the rebel. Like, I know that that's exactly what I was. And then after about 15, then I started to smoke crack and heroin. I moved into a high-rise flat in Marsh Farm, rented it out off somebody else, and then kind of experimented with other drugs. And just kind of went down that kind of path for a little while, not too long, but just down that path.
So you, I don't know, is working, can I ask, were you working?
No, but at that age, I'm 15, 16. No, I tell a lie, actually. when I was 13, I worked in a beetroot factory. So 12, 13, I got a job because I had to pay my way to be able to pay for the drugs that I wanted. So I worked in a factory. this is when we used to have to get permits from Luton Council to work. Yeah. So what I did was I put these these paper pads into these plastic punnets where fresh beetroot would go in, and I just literally stood there doing that for a long time. Then I worked on Purley Market on different stalls on the Saturday to get money, and it was funny because I was like 14 or whatever. I'd be getting money then, and I'd be going and buying 3 litres of Strongbow to sit on in Chestnut Avenue and just drink. I was a good shoplifter. Like, I know that sounds really. I was a shoplifter, and it's funny because when we get on to one of the things that I did when I was older, I was a shoplifter. But one thing I knew was the law for the Sales of Goods Act, and I used to steal Wonder Bras from Sainsbury's back in the day, the old Gossard Wonder Bra. I used to steal them, and then I used to take them to Debenhams. And then they never used to, because I was always quite baby faced as well, and they'd never want to give me my money back. And then I'd state the law to them, and then they'd have to give me my money back. And I know that they used to sit there and think, I don't know how she's doing that, because I wasn't stealing it from their shop. So there was nothing, but I would get my money back because I knew the law. And it was just something that clicked, and I just studied it and I just knew it. And then whenever they had said something, I'd answer them back, even down to like all my statutory rights. I knew it all. That was me being a cocky kid. But
so this is the lady that left school with no GCSEs, but knows law.
But knows law. No GCSEs, nothing whatsoever. So then and then what I did was I got a job in a hairdresser's. Because it was easy, kind of, and it's funny because I've gone through different stages because there was always a side of me that was a real lost little girl that just wanted to be accepted, just wanted to fit in, just wanted to do something normal. But then there is this other side that is this like, don't give demon, absolute demon, demon, and just somebody in there that's just got full of rage. And I think when I look back now, it's probably, there's a lot around not being able to control the violence that was happening in the house or prevent it, or there's quite a few different things, but definitely not that person anymore. So then I was working, but I was still in the wrong crowds, getting into trouble, fighting. Went down a long, dark path for a few years of just drink and anger and violence. And then I went out with somebody, and that was a domestic violent relationships. Well, actually, no, missed a bit out there. When I was 17, I was obviously still living on my own. I was living with a partner at the time, actually, when I was 17, and we were doing something that weren't right. And we got robbed quite badly, and I'll never forget that, because that was a time that my head took a proper battering. Like I've taken a lot of batterings. I've had my jaw broken. I've had jaw broken 4 times. I've had a lot of damage done to me. But this time we got robbed. We were doing something we shouldn't have done at Luton Football Ground, and the person that was in the car driving got stabbed straight through the top of the head, got his ear chopped off. And they grabbed me out of the car and just battered me to bits with a scaffold bar. And my head was just like an absolute mass. It was huge. We managed to get away. They sewed his ear back on. I know I say that quite candidly, like it's, but yeah, that. And then that was the seed in my head. And I thought, I don't know if this life is for me. I don't particularly want to get that. And I got crackle down the back of my head and down the front of my head, and then from there I still kind of carried on. I still had it in me. I still wasn't that kind of give me a little bit of it also gave me this one off. I'm hard.
Just that warning there. The show's called Reatalk. What more can we say? We tell them all the time. There's no point making it light and fluffy. If it's light and fluffy, the guest will give us that. But if it's real, it's raw, and there's certain things we have to hear for us to understand and maybe learn. So that's why we keep saying, give me one sec, Louise, is for people to share, because you can guarantee any show that we do, there's going to be somebody that's going to take something from it, and it's what they need to hear at that given time. It may not be you, but it might be your friend. Your friend will be like, oh, I wish I'd have known that then, or I wish you'd have shared that with me, because that's whatever's going on with me, and now whatever the case might be. So you've been warned, guys. It's going to get a whole heap worse, not just with Louise. We've got another guest, but yeah, it's real, it's raw. So continue.
Yeah. So then that kind of, I then got like a still, as much as I didn't think that was for me, I also then still was like, well, I've survived that, and it almost gave me a bigger reputation. It's as mad as that sounds. That continued. I got with somebody else, and then I was in a domestic violent relationship. So I was in a violent relationship with that person, but it was only kind of, this is going to sound, I don't mean this, there's probably a bit of a trigger warning here, but at that point there, it was just a slap and a strangle. You know, it wasn't, so to me, I'm like, that wasn't anything. Whereas the next time I got hit with a hammer, I got my jaw smashed, I got burnt. So I've been with partners, and I've scaled them as like, you know, it wasn't too bad. So that was.
Sorry, can I just stop you 1 second? It's important for us, as obviously we're doing the show, it's real, it's raw, but to put out there, Shell, Thing of Hope, please put that on there. But obviously the campaign, which should go on forever, of violence against women and girls. So as much as I know you've categorised, which I totally get that and understand that, at the same time, for whether you're young, whether you're old, for you to know wrong is wrong. And obviously the levels and all the rest of it in that. So not to stay where you shouldn't be staying.
Yeah.
But what Louise is doing, Louise is sharing her personal journey story so that we can understand what happened with her and where she is at now. So I just needed to say that, as in, like, to those that are watching, if you're sharing with your friends or what have you, you could be a young person watching now, and it's like, it's okay because it's just a slap. It's okay because it's just a thing. It's not okay.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not okay in any type of violence, or, you know, toxic relationships. You know, words is abuse. Financial abuse. There's so many different forms of abuse and violence against women and girls, and violence against men from girls and women. You know, let's not forget that either. But for me, where the reason I've kind of categorized it like that was because I've only ever known violence from when I was younger, you know, against women and girls. So how I've processed it, I've categorized it. And for me, that's worked on my healing journey. That's not for everybody. And by no means am I saying that any type of violence or any type of abuse, verbal, physical, financial, any of that is not right. And if you are in that, absolutely seek help and make sure that you have a support network around you, because that's probably the most important thing, is get some support around you. So yeah, I mean, my story is my story, and this is kind of how I've got to here. But yeah, everyone's journey is different. But just, yeah, don't when I categorize it, that's my way of processing it. So yeah, so then when I went out with my next partner, he was a really violent, and that, you know, it ramped up quite a bit, and that was when I got hit with a hammer. And I was 18 at this point, so it was all 18, 19. It was all I knew, but it was like, you know, I was then kind of knee deep in it, so to speak. So from there, I then had a little girl. Wasn't with the partner. We broke up. I had a little girl. And then I was still struggling. So although I had a little girl, parenthood is really hard. and having a child when you're young, when you haven't experienced what love is, or what you would think love is, when you've got a little bundle of joy and you look at them and you've got this overwhelming feeling that you don't know what this feeling is, it can become overwhelming. And I think at that stage I was really overwhelmed with being a mum, that I struggled initially of being like, I'm young, I've got this baby, I'm not with anybody, I don't know what to do. I had all of these feelings, and I found that adjustment from being on my own and just completely irresponsible, not even able to look after myself. Like I looked after myself in many ways, but also in other ways I was really emotionally, immature or emotionally young and fragile. So to then suddenly have a child and all of a sudden you've got responsibility, you put that car seat in, the minute you drive away from the hospital, that's yours, and you've got to raise that child. There's no instruction manual that comes with it. So I found that transition quite difficult, and I'm really grateful that my mum was there to support, because that just I bonded with her straight away, and I loved her, absolutely adored her to bits, and I did love her, but it was just, wow, like, this is hard. This parenthood is hard. Why didn't anyone tell me? And it's funny because my daughter now has got a child. And I said to her that when when you have a child, I could tell you when you're pregnant, you're going to feel this, it's going to be like this. But until you're in that position, that's only when you will know yourself what it really feels like. So I struggled with that. And then I didn't take any drugs after that. So I'd stopped all of my drug taking. But I did drink, and I would drink pints of beer, pints of Stella. And I remember when Ria was only, little girl was only 1, so she was born in the summer. So she was 1 and a bit. And then I went to the pub on Halloween, and I was in the favourite pub, just as you do. And some girl smacked me straight in my face, like full on punched me in my face. And I was like, not somebody that would want to be punched in the face, because I would tear everything up. So anyway, it turned out she'd got mistaken identity. It wasn't meant to be me. So a week later, I walked back in the pub and I put my hand out. And then she went, I know who you are. She went, you're Louise Clark. And she won't shake my hand. So I just said, game on, let's have it. And from that point there, I was like hell-bent on getting revenge, just like she was hell-bent on carrying it on. Anyway, it escalated. We had a big fight, and I got put in prison for that. So I got put in prison. I got remanded. I went to Holloway. I was on remand for the violence, and then for witness intimidation, because I threatened one of the witnesses, which I did do. But so then there was that. And then, so I then got out, got released, but then got convicted and then put away for 9 months. So that was a strange time, because then there I am. I'm like, by this time I'm 20, 21, and I'm in jail, and I'm reflecting on my life and thinking, this is crazy. Like, everything that I'd seen and gone through and processed in all of that time. I'm a mum now. Like, I'd gone through everything, in terms of the addictions, living on my own. I'd been stabbed. Had been attacked left, right, and centre with weapons. I've had my head caved in. I've watched a load of stuff. I've got I've got a daughter now. Here I am in jail, and it was crazy, really, really crazy. And I look back and I sat there thinking, you know what? I don't think I belong in here either. Which was just, So
I'm listening, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm sitting down, if I'm honest with you. I can't believe you at this point. You're only about 21, and I feel like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, and it was crazy. Go on.
Sorry. Do you you probably know Cy
Philly?
Yeah. He's coming on. He's on next, and I sort of said there's a little bit of a thread, not an intentional thread, but just a little bit of a thread. You weren't born just with all of what you've sort of like spoken about, if we peel back layers of young people right now, and as you sort of said, at school, and there's all this stuff going on at school, and they're just bad kids, they're just bad, they ain't just bad.
No, not absolutely not. And I think this is where I feel so it frustrates me. The educational system frustrates me. How they label children, look, as we get older, we learn that there are we learn emotional intelligence, or we hope we learn emotional intelligence, which should be taught at schools. But we also understand there are different learning styles. Okay, people learn differently. There are audio, kinesthetic, visual learners. There are people that learn obviously with their hands, people that learn when they see. But yet we adopted an audio style of learning back whenever it's like a European model.
Yeah.
Historically, you would follow somebody around. You would learn what they did. You would follow their art. And because what you're doing then is you're engaging all of you. So you would engage your feeling, your hands, your touch, all of that. And actually, there was less room for anyone messing around, as they say. Whereas now, if you don't conform to a certain style of learning, you are disruptive. You are disrupting the class, and therefore you need to go over there. And there's only so many times you can say you're a problem. Go over there. That people are going to then just disengage. And for me, I feel that I have to be very careful of what I say, because there are a lot of things that I can say about the system that I completely disagree with. And I feel that the system failed me. And I feel that I'm qualified now to say that the system failed me, that there should have been more people looking at me as a person, as an individual.
Yeah.
And I know that there are classrooms are full, and that there are teachers are overworked. I understand that, and I appreciate that. However, that is a job that you're paid to do. And there needs to be a little bit of accountability and ownership on teachers. And I'm not sitting there, this is not, I'm anti-teacher, far from it.
Yeah.
But that means that when I say that there should be more of maybe a challenge from them to say that the system needs to change. And rather than, then there could be other ways in which we do protesting. And actually, there needs to be more done from that point of view, and more case studies and more of them showing that this system is flawed. But I'm not a teacher, so I'm saying that with this is from me looking from the outside in. A teacher could turn around and challenge me and say, actually, it's completely different and I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll take that. But I feel that there are a lot of areas in which we can change, or that we need to look at changing. You know, the system and the curriculum and stuff now is not reflective of a modern day. It's not reflective of the way in which we're going to move forward. Our children are moving forward. We learn completely different. You know, we know now that attention spans are less. We know that people engage with different methods and different mediums and different medias. Therefore, if we're just still sitting there going, follow the stuff on the whiteboard, you're going to completely disengage people. They're going to find their own entertainment, which could then lead to disruptiveness. We need to use topics that are current and that are relevant, and apply, you know, the whatever you're teaching into more current format to keep people engaged. There needs to be a whole big work around it. And I think also we're so hell-bent on teaching people to come out of school and work 9 to 5. You know,
why do we have to work for somebody?
Absolutely. You know, and what there is, and when we look at suicide rates for young people, which I know it's a bit dark, but when we look at that, we look at what they struggle with in school. We look at labelling systems, and I'm not a fan of labelling systems, but we label people. But when they come out of school at 16, pre-16, from when you are in nursery now, and they start younger, uniform starts younger. So uniform starts free. And this is like to prevent disparities. And I get that with young people and making sure that everyone looks, or, you know, it is regardless of their home life or their situation. But when they're 16 and they come out of school, they're suddenly got to find who they are. They've had this uniform, they've hidden behind this for so long, they've been told what they need to do and when need to be, and all of a sudden you say, all right, 16, off you go. There you go. You've got all your clothes to find, you've got all that, and actually it's probably a really hard time because your hormones are going to be everywhere. You're going to have all of this image, all of that going on, but crack on. Off you go. And I just feel that there, when you look at the rates for young people, it's significantly high between 16 to 18. And when you look at what the reasoning are, there is a lot of issues that could be potentially avoided by teaching them emotional intelligence or certain things, acceptance from when they're 11 years old. So there's a whole piece, and I'm like I say, I'm qualified to speak on the system failing me, but I'm not overly qualified to speak on the system because I don't work in teaching. That's my thoughts.
Check that. Yeah. So everyone's digesting and following, and there's messages. Shell, what messages have you got? Oh, there's so many messages coming through.
Is there?
Go get me, yeah. And comments.
Are you? So no, I was put on the induction wing, on the induction wing, but no, I was banged up with. So it was funny. So the corner cell that I got put into on the first night that I got there was probably the coldest, smallest cell I've ever been in my life. It was a tiny little room that had so many holes in the blankets. So they had like these green blankets, and you used to like throw a line through these, which was like you'd take the shit and you'd be able to throw it to get something to somebody in the cell next door. So literally it was the holiest thing in the world, and it had sanitary towels on the window to stop it banging because it wouldn't close. So I remember sitting in that cell thinking, mate, when this door opens, I don't know what's going to happen. So I kept with my trainers on all night because I thought, if the door opens, it could go off because I don't know who's behind it. And then they moved me into a 4-cell, and I was in a 4-cell, and I was banged up with a lady who was, bless her heart, she'd robbed the PTA, and she'd never been in trouble in her whole life, but she had needed some money to pay. She got herself into a situation and she needed to pay the money. She was a lady in her probably late 30s, maybe early 40s. She was a real good, like, you look at her and she's PTA, right? She's one, I don't mean to stereotype, but she's never done anything criminal in her life. That was because she was in a bit of trouble, but because it was a position of trust and it was the school, the area that she was, it was quite an affluent area. So it was like, oh gosh, that's bad, put her in jail. And then the other two were two Birmingham ladies that had just brought in a load of liquid cocaine, and they got caught with that. So they were young girls. Yeah, completely different in this 1-4-cell. And then next door, I had a Chinese lady that was in for exploitation, and then a couple of murderers. So they were all different. Yeah. But they sorry.
No, I was going to say thanks for that question, Shell. Jesus Christ. Now, I know it's very hard.
Your latest diagnosis would be diagnosed in school now. So I
don't know, would they necessarily?
So I'm ADHD, which I know now.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that then. Never detected then. So neurodivergent. Got dyslexia. But yeah, I wouldn't.
When did you find that out? Can I ask?
So what happened was, my daughter said to me, she's seen it on TikTok. She thinks I've got ADHD. And I was like, you're having a laugh. So then I looked at it and I thought, so I knew I was dyslexic for a long time, but then I looked at, when she said that, I thought, okay, there could be something in that. And then I started to ask people, and one of my friends was training to be a social worker. And I said to her, oh, my daughter thinks I'm this. And she went, I could have told you that years ago. And I said, what do you mean? She went, no, we knew you could see it a mile off. You're 100% that. So one of the things was, she said, the minute she walked into my office, I had lining paper all over taped it all up my wall and on my ceilings, because I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd things would come to my mind and I just have to write it down. So I had it everywhere. And then I then spoke to a couple of other people, and I was in my 40s, and I went to the GP and I said to the GP, look, these are my symptoms. And he said, well, how long has it been going? I said, well, and I kind of gave him a bit of a backstory, and he was happy to say that that's what I think you are. So then they were on about medication, and I wouldn't take any medication. I don't take any medication. I've gone through menopause. I don't take medication at all. So I was like, oh no, let me have a look into it. So then I did like heavy metal detoxes and stuff and looked into that, and I've actually reduced my symptoms quite a lot. So yeah.
Okay, just name some symptoms. Just name a few.
Okay.
That you feel okay to do. Because literally in the last, I don't even know, been doing shows and all kind of different things I've been doing. And in the last, I don't know, let's even just say 5 years, there are so many people I know, not from seeing whatever, but actually that I know ADHD. And it's like,
so when I look back at when I was younger, my attention span was terrible. I was disruptive. I was noisy. I couldn't sit still. I would constantly my mind would flip from one thing to another. I'd start something, move on to another thing. I'd have 101 things, started and unfinished. Yeah. Even with my housework, I'd go into one room, start tidying, then forget. I'd go to another, and everything would be up in the air. And it was just the way in which I was. But when I was younger, it was definitely even my anger issues and my lack of control and my constant need and constant wanting to be on the go and not sitting down and not, I didn't sit down. If I did sleep, I wouldn't sleep for very long. I'd be up and, jump up and do stupid things as well. Like I would say, I nicked a steamroller because I thought it would be funny. I used to climb up on things and jump off because I just wanted to see what it was like just random things. But there's just so many different. But as I've got older, my constant unsettledness would be one. They've kind of changed, but there is loads of different things, and it's hard because even stupid little things like I'd burst into song, or I'd do stupid dances, or I'd dress up a certain, crazy.
It ain't crazy.
Yeah,
it certainly isn't. It isn't crazy. Look, Louise Clark. Do you know what the time is?
No. Oh gosh.
I know you don't. And we ain't even scratched.
You didn't say take my time.
I know. But obviously, there needs to be a follow-up and a part two. But I need for the audience out there
to know where I am now. Do you need to know where I am now?
Kind of like we're missing chunks, but we're going to revisit that. But I need them to know that because they're thinking like, oh my gosh, her life must be over.
No,
the school have written them off. Maybe your family have written you off. Maybe friends have written you off because prison, this, that. Even listening, I'm going like, well, she ain't gonna be holding down no job. This is the mentality that not just say like I'm saying that myself because I'm talking as in like the masses out there. This is the kind of mentality teachers even, or she ain't gonna amount to much, is she?
Oh, that was said to me a lot. She ain't going to amount to much. And that's why I think I've got burning desire, because I'm just getting started. And I am just getting started. And the reason I am doing it is so that I can come back in 10 years' time and just say to them teachers, next time, think about how you speak to young people. And I want to show young people that you absolutely can. Now, I was expelled 18 times, left with absolutely nothing. I had addictions, through domestic violence, obviously went to prison, single mum for a long time. I've got 3 kids. But But I went back, I studied, I went back, I got my law degree. I decided law, ironically.
It could only be law, to be honest.
Yeah. So I decided actually that, so I got a job. When I come out of prison, I got a job. I started to do clothing, and I worked in a clothing factory, did pattern cutting, so did city and guilds, and started to get back into education. And I really found who I was in terms of being able to be creative, because I channeled a lot of the violence then through into creativity, and just reinvented myself. Because when I came out, I was like, right, I can't be this shaven head tomboy that wants to fight everybody. I now need to start acting like the person that I want to be, even though I'm not there yet. The role that I want to be requires me to change now to get that role. So I grew my hair. I started to speak different. I started to act different. I started to move in different circles, change my environment. Got a job, and I was persistent in getting the job, because I said, right, I'm getting one. And I changed that, where I was so stubborn and thinking before and got whatever it was that I wanted, or put whatever that was to negative. I decided to focus on positive. And I thought, well, actually, if I can make it negative, I can make it positive. So let me try. Was persistent, got a job. I got a job with them. Went on to work in Arcadia Group. From then now I'm going to do a whistle stop time. But from then I decided to apply to college, and rather than I wanted to do marketing, because I thought, actually, if I do marketing, then I can apply that to anything. It's transferable skills. Applied through clearing into university, and I got in through clearing, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I then spoke with, I then did one of my modules, because it was extended, was law. So it was business, accounting, law. Sales of goods that come up. I was like, I know this one. Yes, I know this one inside out. So it was questions on that. And I'll tell you what, I sat there, I was in my element, and I was just like pinging it off. And I got an A star. And they came to me, like I got the top marks in literally in the uni for that thing. And they come to me and they said, have you considered law? And I sat there, and I do you know what? I had, like, inside of me, I was thinking, I had a proper chuckle. And I said, oh, no, maybe. And then the seed was planted, and I thought, I love law. I absolutely love law, because law governs everything. It is one of the things, you can't even get on a bus without law. We can't even have this conversation now without law. There's data protection laws, privacy laws, internet. There's so many different laws. So I was like, yeah, I like that. So anyway, I spoke to the Law Society. They agreed I could do it. But I didn't tell my teachers, because I wanted a level playing field, and I wanted to be judged on my ability, my academic ability. And I thought it was fair to me, and I thought it was fair to everybody else in the room. I then got first class law degree. Got my final year, I got a scholarship. Yeah, my final year was a scholarship. I was teacher's pet. Yeah, I know, not like that. And then the thing is, I was like teacher's pet. And before I collected my degree, I went and told them, and they nearly fell over. But from that point, then Lord Neuenberger. So there's something called Ban the Box, and Ban the Box was a box to take away that kind of criminal record, because we found that was a blocker to people moving forward. And when we look at rehabilitation of offenders, having that box there, ticking that, was preventing people from applying for jobs or colleges or upskilling. So we did a campaign for that, and Lord Neuenberger used me as the case study, because I was a prime example of somebody that had gone from being that to actually being able to go and get a first class law degree and a scholarship. So I got that. I then went on to work for Budweiser or Anheuser-Busch, and I started in their supply chain, and then worked up into their trade marketing team, and worked on big projects such as FIFA World Cup, the world's greatest events with Stella Artois, and multiple, big projects there. We did the biggest out of home in the UK, virtual reality, augmented reality, big experientials. Then from there, I've done quite a lot of things. I went on to work for another company in hospitality, and then I went back, Winterhalter, went back.
Miss Clark, I love you, and we're going to go there. I need to, because I'm going to bring this young man on whilst you're on in a moment.
Okay, yeah.
So get ready, Sai, you're coming on, because I want you. I want some wildness going on. But we bumped The only place we bump into each other is Aldi, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Tell them, let's tell them. We bump all of that. That's the only time. Nowhere else. It's just Aldi. It's just that shop.
It is all the time, yeah.
And we bumped each other last week, and so much has happened. And I follow you, as you know, on social. But just from what I've heard, but I mean, obviously I know certain things, but just give them some sprinkling of where things are at now. Just a little piece, because we're going to bring you back for part 2.
Okay, so I am speaking in the House of Lords on...
House of what?
House of Lords.
You mean as in like the Parliamentary House of Lords?
Parliamentary House of Lords. Yes, I'm speaking in the House of Lords on the use of AI within construction and AI in general. I am speaking, I've been interviewed with the Financial Times. I've looked at the skills, so skill gaps, what we're teaching young people, the job landscape. I am being part of a task force and select committee to lobby Labour government in terms of what they can do to put more funding in place to upskill people. I have been invited to international trade dinners. I am worming my way into government, but not through. It was literally, I've just kind of did my little thing and I've got in there. So yeah, I'm also working on a few incredible AI, blockchain, fintech projects, and teaching.
Bring that young man on, please, Shell.
Teaching, young people the skills that they need, because it's a different landscape to what we were before. It's an evolving landscape, and for me, it's about equipping our younger people with the skills that they need to go forward in Industry 4.0. And looking at the world futuristically. But, you know, because with the way I see it, and this is what I'm speaking about, is that we need to teach people skills that are relevant for now, but actually for when they're 30, 40 and having families, because the last thing we want to do is give them a set of skills that's going to be made redundant when they're 30, when they're starting a family, when they've got a mortgage, or when they're going to need stability more than ever. So, that's where I currently am.
That's it. So this is how God is working.
God is good. Yeah, God is good.
So I was not aware, and you know this. Louise was only on. I only booked her a couple of hours ago, to be honest. I had no idea that you two knew each other.
Yes.
Until just a moment ago, and I'm messaging Si because she's late, still talking. Si, I'll have you on a little bit later.
You did say I could take my time.
And then, but not that much. Jeez, I'm only kidding. Si, you know this young lady.
I've known Louise for years. We grew up together.
I don't believe this.
Me and Olsen Park, we grew up together.
We grew up together, long time ago.
So I don't know how much you've heard, but you probably know part of this anyway, Si, because you probably...
me and Louise, we kind of retouched base probably about a year ago now.
Yeah.
At the beginning of me having this brain fart about the Knife Angel, and then getting Louise involved in that, and then blew my mind with everything that she's been doing since then as well. So I was always aware of her past and everything had gone on with her life as well. I know her whole family. Haven't knew anything like that, but what news to me was how much more progression she's made since then as well. Do you know what I mean? So
isn't it? Absolutely.
This is just the start as well.
I know.
This is just the start, and I feel ready now to fight the corner. Do you know what I mean? Fight the good fight for people, I think, and that's but actually make a difference.
But do you hear what you said? For people.
Yeah. That's what it's about.
You know, it's not. Well, this is it. That's not for everybody, because it's about when they're doing stuff. It's about them, me, myself, and I, and where I can go and what it can do for me and mine.
That's
make a change.
Part of the reason we're in the mess we're in with society right now is simply because of the greed and everybody's kind of selfishness, really. And simply because we live in a kind of society where we're living in a cost of living crisis and things like that. where people are kind of forced to get selfish and do things like that. But at the same time, it's about thinking of the bigger picture and basically connecting with other people to try and prevent that from getting to the stage where we're at right now. So, but
so we're in survival, aren't we? We're in survival mode.
Yeah, we are.
That's what everyone is. And when you're in survival mode, you end up eating what's around you, you know, to survive. And that's what's happening. And that's, And
when people there's always that saying about when people start eating the rich, that's when people are going to start seeing that things need to be changing. Do you know what I mean? And
that's when they'll feel it.
That's when even rich now. Do you know what I mean? So things are going to start getting hectic as well. So.
Look, I want you to bring you on side just to say a quick hi, because obviously you two know one another. I didn't know that at the time, but
it was God, as you say, God works in mysterious ways. Because I was actually going to be shouting Louise for another project that I want to kind of get her roped into, regarding AI as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's definitely something that's got some teeth on it that I think you'll be interested in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm all over that. So as I say, I'm in the House of Lords. I'm doing a big talk on that. I'm working with the Secretary of State for that as well on some stuff. And I'm over in Brussels, I think, looking at the AI Act as well, because it's one of the big things around how do we manage the data. Because you know that I'm a bit of when we're looking at data and stuff, all these filters and stuff that people are using, they're signing themselves up. It scares me. Even now, what's going on with the riots and obviously, I'm not going to touch on that now. So I think you've been talking about that. But even now, with them ramping up police cameras and surveillance and
everything, it just kind of.
Listen, those cameras have been there for a long time. Let me just tell you that. And now they're activating, and now they are using it. And the thing is, I'm not going to say, what's going on is completely wrong at this moment in time. There is also an agenda to get as many people's data as they possibly can, and more of their facial recognition. But yes.
I don't think this goes long enough for the discussion.
No, it's not.
No. That's what I said. Part 2, part 3, part.
No, I'm gonna pipe down now at that point.
I'm going to say goodbye to Louise right now. We'll be following up, Louise. You know, if there's anything that you need or what have you, that you know where to shout us. You know, you're just coming into the fold now. But the shows and the things that I do, it's platforms for people out there, organisations, individuals that are doing goodness. You hear me? Goodness. We have the platform here, young and old. I do like the young people because they don't have a voice, and all we hear is the negative stuff. But do you know what? You know, guys, from the work you do, how much positive things they're doing. So anybody, whatever, please give them our details. And I'd love to have them on the show.
Yeah.
All right. But Louise, I will be in touch. Thank you so much.
And listen, so well done on the Knife Angel, mate. You should be really proud of yourself and all that stuff you're doing with the bleed kits. Honestly, you're making change. You should be really proud.
Thank you. You were there from the beginning of the whole Knife Angel concept, so I appreciate that.
No, I'm glad to see it's come. I'm glad to see it's come. It's worked out. But yeah, keep going, keep doing what you're doing.
I'm going to be in touch with you real soon, though, because I need to speak.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah. Right. See you all later. See you later.
See you later, love. Thank you. Well. This is what I have to do to get hold of this young man. Grab him to get him on my show.
No, that's well. To be honest, the last few weeks I've been kind of off the radar anyway. So now
I can imagine. So I'm actually grateful and honest, seriously, because I know you must be wrapped up in a whole heap of things to sort of give me the time to come on the show now. And to just,
I've always have the time for you. What it is, I've been in hospital for the last few weeks, so because I've caught pneumonia, so I was kind of out of action for a few weeks. So I've been back at work for the last couple of weeks now, so I can finally breathe and talk.
Oh, bless you. See, that is God's timing. So I'm glad. Are you better, young man?
Yeah, probably, I'd say I'm 99% better. So I'm fully on the
mend,
but I'm fully rested up and looking to get back to work. Getting on with
I'm honestly fully grateful for that, because it could have been another star, it could have been another team, but obviously I'm grateful that it's not. I've in it. Not ready for you yet, darling. Not yet. I've known of you for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Because I had you on social media for however long. Then there was a period of time that I actually kind of like worked with you and follow you and whatever. This show is in its since 2018.
Since 2018, right? Okay. I knew it'd been going for a while still, but I didn't know that long still.
Yeah, 2018. First Tuesday of every month. Up until COVID, I was in the Pantango studio.
Right, okay.
It used to be live, which was fab, great. I would only insist on my guests coming in. They couldn't come in, I want you. Because I love that. I love it. Obviously, COVID hit. Didn't want to stop doing the show, so we just did Zooms. But the thing is, and the beauty of this is, I'm speaking to people. We were in Barbados last month. We're speaking to people. I can speak to anybody anywhere.
Yeah, that's good. It brings a whole new dynamic to it as well.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, it does.
You could probably even do a mix of it and even do a live one with the stream as well, and other people can get involved.
Oh, trust me. That is, well, you'll find out more details of that, because from the first show I was going like, it's going on the road, it's going to be live in a venue with an audience, and watch your space, as they say. I know who you are. Yeah. Well, I think, put it this way, I'm saying I know. No, I don't. Who am I kidding? Why am I pretending? I say to all my guests site, you know, we're live, we're streaming live, and it's important for people, for me, when I've got my guests, I'm not assuming anything, even myself, I'm not assuming, and people think script, you know what I'm going to ask you. I don't, it's got to be just authentic and just flow where it goes.
Yeah, I'll be honest, all I know is, roughly is that you're going to ask me about the Knife Angel. I haven't got a clue.
Oh, you think so? Oh, you obviously don't watch the shows. so people are like, yeah, right. He's what? I know nothing about you. I ain't pretended to know nothing about you. So it's important for me, before we get to certain things and people be like, right, you're wherever you are there, that just like Louise is kind of, I had to peel back like an onion, peel back some layers, because she didn't just reach where she's at now. And everyone's like, oh, she's doing great. Yeah. She ain't just land where she is now. She's been through some times. And she shared that. So I'm not asking you to like go certain, but I need to know a little bit about your background, a little bit about, I don't know, you got siblings, you're the eldest, you're the middle spoiled one, like myself. I don't know. I need to know all them kind of things, and then we'll just build and work from there. So let's peel it back.
I'll start from the beginning then. I'm the youngest of four.
You're the youngest?
Yeah, so I'm 49 now. I'm going to be 50 in October.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of four. I've got two sisters and a brother. My parents from Trinidad, and my parents came over in the early 60s.
Okay.
So originally they were based in London, and then they moved from London to Luton around 1972, and then I was born in 1974. I only found this out the other day, that I wouldn't actually exist unless my parents moved to Luton.
Really?
Only because they moved to Luton and had a bit of extra room, and my brother asked for me, that I was born. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Luton, so big up.
Oh, see, Luton, man, Luton, you see that? Unresponsible for say.
I've got 3 kids, the youngest being a girl who's 12, and another son and a stepson as well. Lived in Luton, born and bred in Luton all my life. Also, I've been a rapper, part of a rap group for Life Cypher and Philly and Dots for probably the last 20 years, and 25 years, and also a solo artist as well. So if you want to check out some of my music, you can check out Cy Philly, that's SIPHILI, and just stick that in Google or YouTube, and ignore any of the music that you don't like, and like the music that you do like. Hang
on a minute. We were talking about with Louise. So school. Yeah. How was school for you? You like it?
I kind of skipped school out as well. Like I didn't even like it. To be honest, school was all right.
Remember the show's called Reatalk, so I need it to be real.
Yeah.
And if you didn't like it, why? Why not?
School wasn't even that bad. When I look back at it, it's never been a thing of me looking back and saying, I didn't like school or anything like that. And I've never been one of those people that's been an adult now and said, I wish I was back at school or anything, because I enjoy being an adult.
Yeah.
For me, like, I was never really obviously I was like all the other kids, getting into trouble and doing bad things in school here and there. Do you know what I mean? But I was never really on the higher end of that to get myself expelled or anything. There was only a few occasions where I could possibly get expelled or get suspended and things like that. But because of how strict my parents were, I had to rein that in and hide of what I was doing of anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So like the first time I ever got arrested, I remember I was probably 9 years old, 10 years old when the first time I got arrested for stealing in the Arndale Centre. I know.
Because, sorry, I know you were a proper like musician and that, but that was like one of the rewind.
Rewind. I know.
You didn't think I'd copy that, did you?
Yeah,
so hang on a minute. Do you know what? Louise, when she shared, when you watch this back, Louise shared, she was in Bodder from 9 years old.
Yeah.
And you took 9.
But the thing for me is, I know the reason, because my parents were real strict. My dad was like a sergeant major, and my mum didn't play either, which was why, like what I was going to say, when I got arrested that time, this was before the days of mobile phones or anything like that. So I was actually, I was actually in town with my mum, got caught for stealing, and then my mum didn't know where I was when I'd been arrested. So then I'm at the police station. My mum had to drive back from town back to home to get a call from the police to then come back down to town to pick me up. And all
you're lucky. You know, say you're lucky because
only thing my
mum and dad ain't going nowhere. My mum wouldn't have gone, mate. I'm telling you.
The only thing I was worried about was seeing my mum. I didn't care about the police at that time.
In it.
I knew my mum was going to beat me in the cell. So because of my upbringing with my parents, like any trouble that I did get into or anything like that, I kind of like tried to manage it as best as possible, and then kind of engage myself with like, you know what, I don't need to get into that I don't need that smoke from my mum or my dad. So let me just do this. Or I mean, and a lot of the time I've been lucky where I've made some stupid choices in my life where I could have been in a lot more trouble, and me and you wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Do you know what I mean? And look, I mean, that I've been lucky enough to be able to avoid fully getting into the criminal justice system in the ways that I could have. I mean, like a lot of my friends have had to do that. Do you know what I mean? So school for me was like, it was, when I look back, it was a blessing. I mean, I enjoyed it. I wasn't the greatest in my lessons or anything like that. The only lessons I really enjoyed were art and graphic design and music and things like that, and things that were creative. And now that I'm older, I know I enjoyed those more as well. Do you know what I mean? But I touched on some of the conversation you were having with Louise, with the way they taught people back then as well, and just even the way they teach young people now. I believe there's a lot to be desired for it. But now, I mean, back then when I was younger, there were so many different ways that I could have been taught different things for me to had a talent for it, or to work on how to get better at it, like maths and things like that. And like I'd always been good at English, but didn't even realise that I was good at English, and wasn't really encouraged to learn the language the way that I could have learned it, and then been looking for different opportunities when I got older to be looking to be a writer or be a journalist or do other things that I could use my talent for. You know what I mean? And then I ended up using my talent with writing into music. And so that's basically how that just basically developed from nowhere, really. But as I say, school for me was really good. I think the hardest part of school for me was growing up in Sundon Park, which was one part of Luton, and then having to go to Marsh Farm for my high school with Lee Manor. And I just didn't understand why my mum was forcing me to go to a different school to all my friends. And for the first probably 2 weeks of it, I hated my mum for making that decision for me, but she couldn't have made a better decision for me, because it broadened my horizon so much to have come out of my comfort zone in Sundon Park and meet a whole different bunch of people and do different things and experience different things, and it basically experience the rest of Luton Town instead of being kept in this little protected bubble. And then when I look back now, most of the friends I was hanging around with in Sundon Park are all either dead or in jail now anyway. Do you know what I mean? Or not really doing that well for themselves anyway. So it kind of makes me question what would my life have been like if I was still in that circle.
So your parents would have, because your parents are slightly younger than mine, but and I don't know if you even say this to your kids now, as in like the company you keep.
Yep.
You're known for the company, and the kids are like going, like, "What are you on about? What are you on about?" And it's only later on you understand what your parents are trying to tell you, try to share to you. We try and steer them. Sometimes we steer them so tight but we've got to let them learn certain lessons. And do you know what? Some of those lessons aren't nice lessons.
Of course not. Do you know what I mean? You're always going to have that saying of those who can't hear must feel. And they need to feel, I mean, to be able to understand. And the amount of times my parents used to say to me about the company that I used to keep and me not understand that. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, even if you don't even realize how much that company can be affecting you, it might not affect you directly, but other people will judge you because of you.
Based on you are known by the company you keep.
And even then, deeper than that, the whole thing when it comes to legally and joint association with you being involved, who is involved in a stabbing or a murder or an assault or anything like that, that company you keep can then make you basically
even though you ain't done what you deem as nothing, but because you're there.
Yeah, people have died because of them being associated with the wrong person. So it can get that deep. Do you know what I mean? But it's the climate that we live in society right now. It's hard to be able to get that through to some young people to try and make them understand. You're not trying to stop you from having friends or being in the cool gang or anything like that. But the cool gang is actually putting you in danger at the moment. You just need to try and understand that. And it's about trying to find different ways to make them understand that before it's too late.
This is the thing. You know you're coming back. You need to know that already, right? Yeah. You're going to be regular. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. But it's important for me, with all that we kind of know what's going on now. We'll get on to obviously where you're at now. But as a parent, I've had my sons on the show. This is when we were in the studio. And I said, you know, the show's called Reatalk. Yes, it's your mum's show, but it's important for me. Please share how you felt, how we brought you up and all that sort of stuff. So both my sons were there and my husband was there as well. So they're there and they're going like, we used to get beats. My husband's going, no. Remember we're live, we're streaming live on Facebook and that. He's going, no, don't be. I said, look, if no point for me having a show when I'm going to call it Reatalk, but then I'm going to tell them, just say the nice bits. Yeah. And I'm going to say,
that'll be real.
I said, exactly. And the reality. And just like you sort of saying about being strict, we were very strict. When I reflect, we were strict on them because that's what we knew and all that goes with that. And basically you say go left and it'd be a case of like, that's what they're expected to do, go left or clean your room, this, that, whatever it was, they had to do it. And my son said, school at Leland's, by the way, as well. And it was a case of, he said, when we stepped out of the door, because obviously at home you say, we had to change. This is what he's saying live on the Facebook. We had to switch. We couldn't be a certain way like they were at home. Then again, you can't, that doesn't, and I'm like there and I'm like, really?
But this is, you end up having to adapt to your environment out on the street. If I would have acted in the way that I acted inside my house, I would have looked like a scared, little timid.
Well, this is exactly what I'm saying. So there's me listening, and it's important for us as parents, grandparents, carers, you know, uncles, aunties, or whatever it might be. We need to, all the stuff that's shared and what you're sharing now, this isn't just for the young people. We need to understand. We need to make the time to listen and find out what is going on. Yeah, I used to say, like, I thought I was a parent that listened to my children. I listened. When they started saying certain things and that, I'm going, I said I listened, but I wasn't listening.
They're really taking it in.
I thought I was listening, but I wasn't listening. And as parents, we're like, yeah, we do this, and we give them this, and we give them that. We've given them everything. I don't understand. We need to make time.
The thing for me is, since I've been doing this work as well, there's a big difference between actually listening and active listening. And active listening for me is listening intently, and even if you haven't got a solution or a response to them, it's not just hearing it and then kind of moving on to the next thing. Do you know what I mean? Because when you do that, you're kind of like belittling. You could be talking about somebody else's problem, and if you do that, you're belittling their problem even if without verbally doing it. Do you know what I mean? But
exactly. I'm going to stop you 1 second, purely because we're talking and people go like, yeah, so I've jumped. I'm to blame. Blame me. As in, like, you know, growing up and all the rest of it. That. Explain what you do, Si, and as in your background, because we're talking about young people, we're talking about certain things, and it's like, how he qualified just because he got tree picnic.
Yeah, we jumped. Like, we literally jumped school to nowhere to literally. Right. So, as I said, I was a musician for, say, probably 25 years. I'm still doing music.
Wow.
Well, so, but I've been doing youth mentoring work for, say, the last 8-9 years now, where I've been working with young people involved in with complex lifestyles who are on the cusp of basically entering into the criminal justice system. So who may be involved with serious youth violence, knife crime, county lines, drug dealing, child to parent violence and abuse, and different mental health issues that basically cause young people to end up either being expelled from school, then put into a pupil referral unit, and then more than likely entering into the criminal justice system through their societal links and friends and things like that, and peers, basically. So I started Wingman Mentors. Well, me and my partner started Wingman Mentors a year ago this month. Yeah. Yeah, we started about a year ago this month, where we're basically working directly with young people in Luton and Bedfordshire who are involved in those lifestyles that I mentioned, to try and prevent them from that, divert them from that, and provide different pathways, such as opportunity, education, and different opportunities to basically to prevent them from reoffending. And as I say, get them onto a more of a positive pathway and working in a more of a positive outlook in the community, basically.
Wow.
So hopefully
that's a humongous task. How have you found, because obviously you've been doing this, as you said, for a few years, so much so for you to start your own, you must feel that there's a gap, or that you perhaps can, I think you were on the show before, this may be some things that you can do better, or maybe some things that you could support others with, or
I would never say I could do things better. For me, it's really just about the way that I do it, and some young people will engage with me, some won't. So it's really just about being another mentor, another older person that's out there to be able to work with younger people. And the thing is, it's not really just about working with younger people. A lot of the time it's about working with parents as well.
Yes.
Them understand what it is that's actually happening, and make them aware of even what's going on with their young person, and give them the tools to be able to work with that as well. So we're kind of all working from the same hymn sheet, and you can be that glue between the young person and the parent, or the young person and social services, or the young person and the police, for them to be able to get in that situation really as well. So, and like I say, a lot of parents are oblivious to what it is that's going on with their young people, and a lot of parents are too caught up in their own social media life and their own life really to be paying attention with what's going on. I know I've worked with young people whose parents are more concerned about the amount of followers that they've got on their TikTok or their social media account, and they're not even paying attention to know that their kids carrying a knife on their TikTok account, or doing county lines, or stood there with stacks of money in their hand on their TikTok account, but you're paying so much attention to your own TikTok account, you don't even follow your child. So it's really trying to bring things back to the beginning with some parents, really stripping it back and then starting from the beginning to make them aware of what's going on with their own children, as I say, and then try and work it out from there.
Wowza. As a parent, as a grandparent, I'm invested.
Yeah.
I'm invested. I'm going to just do a quick whistle stop of me. Way back when, in my 20s, late 20s. And you know exactly the friends and that I used to be around we used to moan about anything and everything. You know, the school, this, anything and everything. And but the schools were always crying out for governance. You know that.
Yeah.
And everyone's too busy. We're all busy. We ain't busy. We're busy doing whatever we want to do, but we still want to slate the schools. They don't this, they don't that. Why? And I'm like, hang on a minute. This is me having to talk to myself. I'm like, but if you want X, Y, and Z, or for things to change, why don't you become a governor?
Yeah.
Get involved. And so from probably about 29, I became a parent governor at my son's primary school. So I was there for a few years.
Gives you that voice.
And then, you know, they send the newsletters every term. That newsletter ain't telling me nothing. It's not telling me anything. As a governor now, okay. And then I finished there because they went to high school. So I was going like, okay, I'll go to high school now. And I followed them to the same high school that they went to. I loved it. They hated it. As you can imagine. I'm talking Lelands. And it's a case of like, Zed come home and, oh, nothing happened. But I already know certain things, being a governor. And when I went up at parents' evening, and it'd be like, oh, they're doing so well. This is teacher, so well. It's like, nah. And I'm like, I'm a parent governor here. Oh, so. And they then want to take time and tell me some more. You see, things were different. I've spoken.
It's sad to say that you need that little bit of authority for things to be different, but it's how the world works. I mean, which is a sad thing. We could talk about age, you know what I mean? But
exactly. So that's how my whole kind of like started to get involved, instead of just being an armchair critique, shall I say, and criticise everyone, whether it be the council, the government, the schools, or whatever it might be. It's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Instead of just moaning and what have you.
It's the same as being part of the police scrutiny, on the police scrutiny board. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to be able to make that much change, but you are actually going to be able to make more of a change than the person screaming out on the street to try and make change with the police.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Exactly that. So all of what you're talking about and certain things, as a parent, as I said, and as a grandparent, I know how important it is to get involved. Instead of just moaning and whatever it might be, is to get involved. And exactly what you're saying now, as in like your child, as in like you think you're listening, you think you're paying attention.
Yeah. And this is the part of the whole thing about, because we haven't even touched on the Knife Angel yet, but the Knife Angel campaign, I mean, part of the idea of getting that together was, firstly, obviously, to get different organisations that are all working, all singing from the same team sheet, who are working with young people around these issues, to try and firstly get to know each other and find out what it is that we do, where we're at, and network with each other to be able to collaborate with each other, to be able to get different pots of funding and work with each other to be able to help certain young people who might not be able to come to your activity in this area, but we've got another activity in this area where we can do and just create that cohesion within the community itself. But also to kind of like bring some ownership to the community itself. One thing I hate about whenever there's a stabbing or if there's, you'll always get a massive gang of people there who are ready to slate Luton and so glad I left Luton. Luton's an S-hole, whatever not, and basically butchering Luton like nothing of the sort happens anywhere else when it does happen.
Yeah.
So it's about us kind of taking ownership and being proud of our town and showing that we're aware that knife crime happens in this town. I mean, the same way it happens elsewhere. I mean, and part of us having this Knife Angel here is having that admittance to then have this discussion and move on from that to say, right, what do we do now? I mean, I haven't got the solutions, and collectively, we can come with some sort of solution. Do you know what I mean? And even if a reduction in knife crime or a reduction in young people carrying knives, it's resolving something. Do you know what I mean? But we have to start from somewhere. So for me, it kind of goes around and round. It's not just about knife crime. It goes with everything to do with just being a mentor and being mentors in themselves. When I grew up, I was saying this on the show the other day, that we had the youth house when we grew up. And me growing up in there, that gave me my youth club or my youth space for me, or safe space for me to be able to go to. And even if I knew I had beef with somebody there, I knew I was safe inside there because there were other mentors in there that would stop anything from getting too bad or anything like that, from me getting hurt or hurt seriously anyway as well. But at the same time, I had people in there mentoring me without even me realizing.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to have those kind of things again, to be able to basically police ourselves, do you know what I mean? Rather than relying on the police to reduce knife crime or relying on the police to reduce drug dealing in our areas, or police ourselves. Do you know what I mean? And if where I live, there's probably like 2 or 3 houses where there's single parent mothers, I mean, who've got kids inside there, do you know what I mean? And I have my house every summer and I'm fixing their bikes and helping them and showing them how to fix their bikes and different things like that, just rather than seeing them riding their bike with their handlebars backwards and their forks loose, ready to have an accident on it, do you know what I mean? And where I know their mum, and it's not about their mum not wanting to teach them how to do it, she doesn't know how to teach them how to put the bike together or anything like that. Where I was taught by my dad to put my bike together, so I was lucky in that regard to, my dad, I mean, so I was lucky in that regard to be able to have that. There's a lot of kids who aren't lucky enough to have that, but if you're in your street and you can see this kid there who hasn't got that, it's only going to take you 5 or 10 minutes out of your day to just touch base with them and find out if you can help that kid in any way. Do you know what I mean? I think there's that saying of it takes a village to be able to. You know I mean, that's basically for me is a village. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in me knowing the kid 5 minutes down the road from me and not knowing that he's going through something, and he could come and speak to me about it.
I like that. I do. I like that. But how have we're going to bring it up shortly. Shelley's going to get it on the screen because some people go like Knife Angel, what, who, what, where, how. Some people have seen it. Some people haven't seen it. I haven't got in to see it. They had me at regular weekend and like, still I recover.
So recover.
Also recover and just. So this is Wingman Mentors. That's the logo, guys, that you'll see everywhere. Everywhere.
Knife Angel has toured the UK from city to town and acts as a catalyst to opening conversation about knife crime in our society and to act as a symbol of reflection and remembrance for those impacted by knife crime and violence in our communities. Made at the British Iron Works.
That's when it arrived. When was that? Was that Thursday? Yeah. Arrived, say?
That was last Thursday when it arrived. Have you muted it? I thought I muted it.
I don't think you've got the.
No, by violence and knife crime. Luton is taking a bold stand against these issues, encouraging important conversations about safety, respect, and the value of life. This visit encourages local engagement, empowering residents to come together to create a safer, more unified community. Join us in this vital movement toward positive change.
Wow.
Yeah, so the Knife Angel's here until the end of August. Well, the opening ceremony for it was on Saturday, and we had a few people from the council, the mayor came as well to welcome it. It isn't just us who's got it here, by the way. It's a partnership project with ourselves, Youth Partnership Service, the council, BCLF, Mary Seacole. I'm probably forgetting a few of the other organisations that have been involved. I think Luton Rising have been involved in it as well, heavily as well. So it's, as I say, it's not just Wingman Mentors that have got the Knife Angel here, but it was my initial idea for it to come here. There's been quite a few different projects around the Knife Angel being here for the month as well. So it's basically a knife crime awareness month for the community to kind of get behind the meaning of the Knife Angel, why the Knife Angel was made in the first place, and to try and reduce knife crime and reduce young people carrying knives in the community as well. I've got my partner, the co-founder of Wingman Mentors, Michelle, here as well.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Dee. How you doing?
I'm doing well, darling. I'm doing well. It's great to see you, and thank you for joining us.
I can hear Si talking about the Knife Angel, and I've lived and breathed the Life Angel since May last year.
So it's only right that you're here, darling. It's only right that you're here.
I want to make sure you getting everything in.
You ain't going like you still, the show don't finish for another half hour. It's important for me to get as much information, for us to use this time to get as much information out to the people as possible. And obviously those that are watching, please share on your platforms, share with your friends, your colleagues. How tall is that statue?
It's 27 feet high. And it weighs 3.5 tons. We had a student, we did an educational project across schools, and one of the students asked how much it weighed, and we didn't know. So we had to find out. It was 3.5 tons, about the weight of a whale.
It's made of
Wow.
100,000 knives.
Wow.
I keep saying 110.
And where did, I mean, some of the questions I'm asking, I already know the answer, but I need to ask so that way then those that are listening. So these knives, where have they come from?
They've come from surrender bins across the country. Over, I think it's 43 police forces across the country. Gave knives from their surrender bins. It took, the whole project took about a year and a half to make, actually, for the angel to actually be made. But it took about 2 years for all of the knives to actually be collected and surrendered over to them, or given from the surrender bins across the police force, because I think that was quite a long job, quite arduous in terms of making sure that they was able to get all of the knives from the police forces in legitimate ways as well. And one thing that says, and he said at the opening ceremony, is that when they first turned up and they first started making the angel and the knives started arriving from the police forces across the country, they was expecting them to turn up in maybe some boxes, but they started turning up in skips.
Wow.
Which is quite impactful, and they had to obviously then blunt them all down and clean them all.
Yeah. So what has the reaction, because obviously, as you sort of said, the opening was Saturday. That's why I thought if I get you on today, that way then we can catch up on that and obviously find out what's going to be going on throughout the month of August. But in terms of sort of like, what's the feedback you've had so far?
The feedback's been really good. Obviously, I've been apprehensive because this has been a project that's been kind of kicked back by a few people simply because of kind of misunderstanding about what the Knife Angel's about and why we want it here. But after like a 5-minute conversation with a few of those people have been able to understand what it's about, why we've got it here, and really want to try and make that, force that change as well. So it's been really positive.
Can we, I'm not asking who, but in terms of that, why would you not want it here? Would it be a case of like, it seems as you're promoting? I don't know. Why would?
The question I've been asked a lot is it here because we have a knife crime problem? And I think that's a bit of a misperception in that it's like how the angel gets here. So a lot maybe don't understand how the angel get here. One person asked me, does it get sent by central government? Like because you've got the problem, because we've got problems, or and then just general parents, it's like, do we have such a big knife crime problem that's the reason why it's here? And fundamentally, no, that's not the reason why it's here at all. Sai had a really good idea to bring it here, and now the main point of it is to be opening conversations and starting conversations with people, education, and creating awareness. We did part of the agreement of bringing the Knife Angel to a town is you have to sign what's called an agreement of conscience. And within that agreement of conscience, you have to do at least 30 days of educational projects within schools to young people. So we carried out an educational project within May, June and July across schools in Luton and asked them to do the Artful Voices project. And some of the conversations that came out of that and out of those workshops were really impactful. And it did become very apparent. We partnered during one workshop with St Andrew's Church in Blenheim Crescent and in Biscot. The Father Luke there said something that keeps ringing around and I keep repeating, is those that are closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. So by speaking to young people about the problems that they face and how they can feel safe and what their concerns are enable us to be able to address and find the solutions for them, and they can also help find the solutions themselves. So we spoke a lot about being upstanding and creating an upstanding community and no longer being bystanding. And when we've got the courage to speak, we have the power to change. And we asked the young people to write poetry, spoken word or rap. And have you spoken about Zulu?
Not yet, no.
And there was a competition across Luton. Across schools that had engaged with the project. We spoke with around 4,000 students across Luton.
Wow.
and there was a judging. So then we had a selection process of all of the entries, which was quite emotional. I'm not going to lie. Myself and a lady from Mary Seacole, we went through all of the entries that had gone through and which ones were viable in terms of the criteria. And it was very emotional. And some of the words of the young people of Luton are really insightful. And, you know, and that there is concern and there is worry, but there is also a load of hope, because they want change. You know, they know that there's problems, and that they want to be able to change. So the Artful Voices project was actually, I think, really impactful, and we had some really good conversations around that.
Okay, so it's here till the end of August. The young people are on, well, technically they're not at school, they're on holiday. So what, I'm going to say activities, or what is going on to bring people to that location?
Well, what's actually happening within George's Square, there's no further activities in St George's Square. However, there are organisations that are there, hopefully daily, to engage and to be able to discuss and to talk about it. There are other things across town. There's the Youth Fest on Monday at Wardown Park, which again, a lot of the organisations that were around the Knife Angel and promoting the messaging that work with young people are also representative within Wardown Park, which is really, really key. So whilst it's a youth fest, it's aimed towards children and families, and there's competitions and there's loads of activities for the young people to do. But more importantly, there's a real good opportunity for parents and members of the public, you know, to be able to engage with the organisations that are working within the youth. So there's a lot of like Toco and Mary Seacole and Boxing Save Lives, and lots of organisations there that, are helping in the community, like how we are working with young people.
There's also the diverse FM weekender that's going to be happening in St George's Square, where Wingman and a few other organisations will be representing that event.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, that's this weekend. Yeah,
that's this weekend. Although that's not directly aimed at the Knife Angel, but it is there at the Knife Angel, so it's all around it.
Yeah.
The organisations were used around there as well, so as well as us there as well, representing on that day.
There's also some diversion sports across parks in Luton. If you visit the knifeangelluton.com website, there is I think it's called What's On for Youth or something like that, and there's a page.
Yeah, we've been sharing those. Yeah,
we'll be updating regularly as more as more organisations let us know what there is going on. But there's some sports interventions that are running across Luton, and that's kind of what's key, is that whilst the Angel is here in St George's Square, the impact is actually felt, and the messaging is delivered across Luton further than just the town centre. Which can I just mention, there's a Knife Angel legacy, which is another part of what you have to do as part of the agreement. You have to leave a legacy behind. It's not just a 1 month visit and then it's gone and we don't talk about it anymore. So we have to leave a legacy behind, which is been supported by the BLCF. They have 20 fund pots for one fund pot for each ward of Luton. So across the whole of there will be a creative community project and intervention that is specifically aimed at young people to be able to get involved around the Knife Angels visit, around anti-violence and saying no to knife crime and those kinds of things. And it's very much a creative project, but again, that is completely town-wide. So each ward will have its own community project running somewhere, and that's that will be within the next 12 months. So that's again, then that's been
right, so that's over the next year then.
Yes, literally for the next year. And we hope that by engaging in more and more conversations, it just continue, because once you've opened up conversation, there's no reason for it to finish. It's not
just because it's gone like, right, well, that's over then.
Opening, and the desire is to continue. Fundamentally, we're an awesome town, and we really stand up next to each other within our neighbourhoods and with our unique communities, very much standing together. And I think across our communities would be a really cohesive message of that we don't pledging against violence in our community and in our town, and helping our young people to thrive and learn to be upstanding citizens and look out for each other a lot more.
I'm loving that.
Also, the week before as well, we're planning to have some bleed kit awareness sessions. Women have got a bleed kit awareness campaign going on at the moment where we're trying to get as many bleed kits put into the town as possible. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you're a radio.
Is it the town? The bleed kits in town, or is it kind of different locations? Or
going to be all over the town. So at the moment, how many have we got in town at the moment?
In town, there's 5 actually in town centre, I believe, and we've got one at Rainham Way community centres. We've got one at Wetherspoons, not 5 in town centres. One at Wetherspoons, one at McDonald's, one at Grosvenor Casino. That's ours. We have AW House has one on Stewart Street. They've got an external box. We've got Rainham Way an external box. McDonald's in Marsh Farm and McDonald's in Parkway. But we've also, this is actually really key, and I'm glad I've got this opportunity. We've got some bleed kits that we need to be able to put out into the community, and some locations for them. However, we've got a few that we still need to be able to locate. So what we're asking for is for businesses or organisations that have long hours or are in a busy area, or even actually in a really remote area, that would be able to host a kit for us. And that's not buying one, that's just hosting one. So we have the kits that have been funded, so we're just looking for some more host locations, and that is again across the whole of Luton. So if there's a business that's got a wall that they can, or an organisation, even a church or something like that, where we can put an external kit, and we don't have a kit in that area, then that's a prime location for us. And if there's a taxi rank, a fast food restaurant, hotels, or anywhere that people are working, and they think that their business might be able to host one, to get in touch with us.
And for those that don't know, a bleed kit itself is a kit that's basically got all the tools and bits that you may need to be able to prevent a critical bleed should somebody get stabbed, or in the event of a dog attack or a car accident or anything like that. So it's got a chest seal, it's got a chest cover, it's got a tourniquet, scissors, and basically all the tools that you would need inside there to be able to prevent a fatal bleed until the ambulance comes.
So we didn't have bleed kits before, or did we?
No. Now,
no,
not particularly, not definitely out.
They existed, we just didn't have them in Luton.
Yeah, and they weren't out as public access bleed kits as well. I think this is the key point here, is that bleed kits existed because obviously first responders have them, and what else has them, but from what you would call a zero responder, a member of the public being able to access it like a defib, that never existed. Back in 2018, a lady started a campaign, a lady called Lynn Baird, after her son had been stabbed, Daniel Baird, in Birmingham, and she started a campaign to get these put out nationally, after finding out that maybe his life might have been able to be saved if somebody had been able to stem the bleed. Lynn set upon a journey and a mission to get these out publicly, and she's done a great sterling job. So we are 6 years on now, and these are starting to go nationally, and there's a lot more talk about them. So there's like organisations like us over places like Bristol, in fact all over the place, Birmingham, Kent, Swindon. There's lots of organisations that are doing this just as a community project. That's about the size of a kit bag that we would like a fast food restaurant or a garage or somewhere like that. And all the host has to do is, if somebody sees a 999, sees an incident and they call 999, they will be directed to their nearest bleed kit, and then all the host has to do is pass that to them, and that's it. That's it. And then the person goes off with the bleed kit and hopefully saves a life. These are being used more and more. And the reason why these are not in Luton, because we don't have enough out there, but the reason why these are being used more and more is because there is more and more out there. In fact, twice this week. Once was yesterday. There was somebody that had been shot in a little village just outside Birmingham, and their life had been saved by a bleed kit. And there'd been a lady who had been stabbed in the neck in Bristol, and she also had her life saved by a bleed kit. So these are being used almost on a weekly basis nationally, and only because they're there. So if they're there, they can be used. In car accidents, more people die from critical bleeds than anything else. So just for that fact alone,
yeah,
there's a good reason to have them.
oh my gosh.
Led. That's all voluntary. That's all community led. So pound for pound, that businesses that we ask to donate to the kits goes into the kits, and any other work that we do around that, we do from a community point of view, voluntary.
Which leads us on to Bleed Kit Bingo on the 22nd of August at Mecca.
Gamble responsibly.
Hey, you two must understand you're here for a reason. Don't come off and say, oh, we didn't say this and we didn't say that. Bring it on, bring it on. 22nd of August. Shell, the details. We're coming. House.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, over 18s only. Be gamble aware. Please drink responsibly. 22nd of August at Mecca Bingo. But it's also our first birthday. It just happens to be.
Oh, excellent. Absolutely excellent. Okay, so I think Shell has got the information. I know we've shared it already. We're going to share it again. So people want tickets. Do you go on an event? I don't know.
Yeah,
how to get tickets?
There's either go onto Wingman Mentors Facebook page or our website, and there should be a QR code to be able to, not on our website actually, I'll update that. There will be on our website. Go to the Design My Night ticket booking that's been done by Mecca Bingo, and yeah, book those tickets. It's £20 a ticket. Bingo's from 7 till 9, I think, and it's £20 a ticket, but £10 goes towards a bleed kit.
Amazing.
Oh, and yeah, you get your 2 hours of bingo and a drink. There you go.
Oh my God, giving it away, you guys. You are giving it away. Where, I know because there's certain things that I do, but you've got a little one. Well, I say little. Yeah, little one. Where do you find time? Because all of this is time. Is time. And I know obviously the passion just shines through, but my gosh, where do you find the time to just sleep, just get your little
Do you know what?
rest?
A lot of it comes through sacrifice as well. I find myself,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I find myself working a lot of hours. Michelle works a lot of hours, and even down to the point where, like, because of the work we do, we've had to sacrifice a holiday, and my daughter's had to sacrifice a holiday this summer because of the knife angel being.
Yeah.
All those kind of things that need to be taken into account, but we kind of do those things without even thinking about it, and then have to kind of make up for it after the point. So I plan for the family to have a really good holiday next year, or a few holidays if we can.
We shall make sure.
Difficult when there's a lot to do. So one thing I have learned on our first year and our first journey was and people did say it to me, be careful, don't take on too much. Like, it's only a few projects, but it's not. It's some of the projects are really, really huge.
Yeah.
So Angel was quite long and it was quite arduous at times, but it's really satisfying to be able to have done it, and it's even more satisfying to see the legacy that it will now leave behind, I think, from after its visit. And the bleed kit campaign, if I'm honest with you, this is ever going on, isn't it? This is never going to end.
Yeah, definitely.
And Luton, we want to move wider. Bedfordshire, places like Leighton Buzzard, Stopford, out and Regis Dunstable, and wider, Bedford, everywhere. So that involves a team of people as well. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do. But it's just maybe take on less projects now that some of the projects are finishing. Take on less.
You know what? For me, it's not about taking on less projects. I don't want to take on less projects. I want to get bigger to the point where we can employ other people to do what it is that we're doing here and make it easier for everyone. And at the end of the day, nobody does this work to get rich, but everybody's got bills to pay and everybody needs to survive. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
problem there, and there are other people, like-minded people like us, that can do this work to try and create a change in society. I mean, some of the work I do, I work in schools where I'll be going to schools and working with kids on radicalization and keeping themselves safe online and different things like that, and even being able to recognize what is fake news and things like that. And there's kids that I know that are more aware of what fake news is and how to navigate their way on the internet and on social media than a lot of adults, which is why we're in the situation we're in right now with the riots and everything that are going on.
Yeah, that's if you see the message that Cecile's put, or Shell's put on there.
Is the Knife Angel going to be safe with their disturbances tomorrow?
Hopefully the police will keep it nice.
Hopefully the police and security will be able to keep that safe.
If there is a disturbance.
And that's if there is a disturbance as well. I mean, I don't want to go and give people a false sense of security and pretend like it's not going to happen or anything like that. But like I say, there's a lot of false information and misinformation going around the internet right now and on social media that people up into the frenzy that they're in right now to be feeling like there's things that happen. So I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, to prepare to fail. I mean, so I would rather know. I'd rather know that we haven't got a load of people and a load of kids there at the Knife Angel tomorrow. We had a specific event going on there tomorrow that would have obviously had to be cancelled. But the Knife Angel there itself, I pray that it's not going to be a focal point for anybody to be having any kind of disturbance around it.
Okay, no, totally understand that. And thanks for just clarifying that for us.
Of what the monument stands for. It's the absolute opposite. I find it so disrespectful as well.
But we're working with disrespectful people, so
of course.
But anyway, that's based on.
What was I going to say? In terms of, so say for instance, you're an organisation or an individual out there that like, oh my gosh, Wingman Mentors, they're doing incredible work. I haven't got time maybe to do certain things, but I may have, it may be money or I might have time to do. So what do you guys need? Lay on the line. What do you need to keep going?
Support, obviously, funding, obviously, is the main thing that any organisation needs. But along with that, we would love to be working with volunteers who want to be able to get into this work on a voluntary basis and help in any way that they can, whether that be on the ground or on the front line working with young people if they can, or in the back, basically working for the organisation, doing different things and working for different projects that we've got planned for the next year. We've got a lot of things that we want to get planned for over the next year as well. So the more help and the more support we've got. Sometimes even just spreading the word on social media can help more than anything.
Yeah.
Getting that word out.
So sometimes when people are like, I haven't got time. So instead of spreading that false news, how about spreading something positive?
Exactly.
How about sharing that?
Yeah.
You haven't got time to share that, but you've got time to share. Do you see what I mean? So yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Doesn't need to really come in the form of time or money or anything like that. At the time it can take to share something.
Yeah, in it. Yeah.
You shared something, some other meme or something else that possibly could have even offended somebody else.
Yes.
Could then at least share that. So I say the same thing to people all the time as well. You've got a group of people that are prepared to donate money out of their wages once a month to Tommy Robinson to do with whatever he wants to do with that money. So there must be a bunch of people who are prepared to donate a little piece of money once towards a bleed kit, or once towards reducing knife crime, or once towards helping to try and stop a young person from going missing again. So
because you've thrown that out there, yes, we've got the bingo 22nd of August, but do you have, I don't know, like a page where people, should they wish, do you know what, I want to, you know, people are watching now and like, oh my gosh, whatever it might be, have you got somewhere where they can go on and
we've at the moment we've only got
donate?
We've only got a page to donate towards the bleed kits at the moment. We haven't actually got direct donate to Wingman Mentors or Wingman Support Services CIC. Obviously, I would never say no to that. If an organisation or an individual does want to speak to us about any kind of funding or anything, any kind of help like that, would be open to discussion for that at any time really as well. So at mentors.com, or send me a direct message at Wingman or Michelle at wingmanmentors.com.
Just, I don't know, it's been a year. Does it seem, cool, it must seem far longer than a year in some ways.
It's gone really quickly, but I feel like we've been here forever in terms of working in and doing what we're doing. I feel like Wingman's quite entrenched and we've been here for quite a long time, but it has gone really quick, hasn't it?
So What have been, if I may ask, some of the challenges?
Funding.
Apart from funding.
I've nothing. Well, to be honest, it really, like any new business, is really just getting yourself established and making organisations and other people know that you're serious as well, and you are a professional business as well. But I think our reputation kind of like preceded us before that, so it hasn't really been that hard to establish that quite soon and then continue with that as well anyway. And God willing, everything's going to continue going that way as well, really anyway. So, and I think just simply because we're doing things that are different, like the bleed kits and the Knife Angel and different things like that, it's made us stand out more than some of the other organisations that are doing much of the same work as well, really. So challenges wise, really, I think the main challenge is like working with my partner.
Michelle, it's all right, darling. We've got this recorded. But you know, in all seriousness, remember the show's called Real Talk, Michelle. You know, you're lucky. You're lucky, sir. You're lucky.
There's video proof as well, yes.
Exactly. Hey, we've got it all on there. We put Michelle's put, don't worry, Michelle, we've got the evidence.
Was challenging. I was
joking. She's not a challenge, honestly.
We have this recorded in case you need it, Michelle.
One thing I have found actually quite challenging. I spent 30 years working business to business in a corporate environment in IT, and moving into working in the community sector, I found it quite challenging. In that what I'm used to doing is doing a bit of business, providing a service and getting paid. That's just like how business just runs. And I find that in this sector, you get a bit of business, you do a bit of business, and then you do some more business for somebody else, and then you do some more business for somebody else, and then you get paid like 5 months later for the business that you did at the beginning. And it just goes. So it's yes. There's a way less money in this grassroots community sector. So I touched there. I worked in IT for 30 years, and I am fully aware how much a business will pay, a larger business. I'm fully aware how much they will pay to support their network, to look after data, to look after their business. And obviously, I know, appreciate £1 million an hour, some of them potentially running, it's viable. However, when I've moved into the community sector and I transferred my skills of like risk management and things like that, the lack of money that is there to support and look after those souls instead of data, business data, these are human souls. And in essence, it's the same thing. We're collaborating and we're working out their network and making sure that everything is supported and it all works together holistically. Is like from IT to what we're doing here, there's a real, like, it's the same thing. That's visually I see it, but there is a lot less money within the community sector for looking after a young person to change their life, as opposed to a bit of data on your emails as a business. So that I found quite challenging and finding frustrating, knowing that there's like tens of thousands of pounds a year or even a month spent on looking after data, and it's not to say it's not important. I know this because I've been there for 30 years, but this is I find it quite sad and upsetting that there's not enough money. And it's not to say that private businesses need to put that in, and they shouldn't be putting that in, and it's not to come from the government, because otherwise we all have to pay for that fundamentally in our taxes. But
one of the things that I've found frustrating in this work, not even so much with Wingman, but just in this work in general, is how different areas work differently as well with their young people. So where I can be working in one area where there can be a young person at risk and he may need to be taken out of the area, and he'll get sent to a place miles away, which is like for 9 weeks, which would be a price of £250,000.
Jesus.
Work in an area with a young person who's at much higher risk, but there isn't the money to be able to send this kid away to the same place. But just because he's from Luton and the other person was from Hertfordshire, the possibilities aren't there. And that, for me, those are the frustrating things that kind of get my back up when I try to do this work.
Wow. Sit tight, you two. You're not going quite yet.
Got to feed the child. It's nearly 10 o'clock.
Oh. Oh.
Earlier, like you have sacrifices you make.
Oh my gosh. So sorry. Look, thank you so much. You know you're coming back on. Everyone, the Knife Angel, it's down at George Street. They are going to be here for 1 month. You need to find the time to just go and see for yourself. Don't go by hearsay. See for yourself. Okay, we've got all your details going across the page. 22nd of August, it's in my head. Bingo, house, Legs 11, all of that. Bleed kits, there's so much these guys are doing. So please support where you can. So remember, support doesn't have to be financial. There's other ways that you can support. So get involved, contact us, contact them. We'll put you in touch if need be. Michelle, Si, thank you. Thank your daughter as well for being so patient. And we will catch up real soon, guys, okay? You're certainly going to see us on the 22nd of August.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
All right, take care, guys. All right, bye-bye.
If needs to speak out and get any more information, people.
Yes, definitely. I'll make sure they do. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Shell, I know Tishi's going, so have we got... I know she sent it to me, but can you do the deed just literally, because I was going to read her bit and then carry on with them just to round off there. But obviously, as I sort of said, so if you could do that, and then that way, then I think we've kind of...
You got Bob waiting for you.
Bob that should have been on at 7:15.
Anyway, right. Tishi's update. Tishi, everyone should know Tishi. Yeah, so our update. Hell of a one. Since the last show, life has been good and busy. I took my braids out on the 23rd and braided my hair on the 24th of July. And it took a lot longer than last time, but I love it. You can find out why she braided her hair again. I went to one of my old carers' wedding reception on the 27th of July with one of my best friends and had a really great time. I went to Nana's last week, Thursday, and we had a good catch up and watched the wrestling together. We really need to have a video recording of the pair of them watching wrestling.
No, you don't. You don't. Trust me, you don't.
I can see them both really getting into it.
Yeah. Go on, get him. Oh, yeah, all of that.
I haven't written poetry for a few months, but I think that I'm getting some inspiration again. So watch this space. I hope it's all going to be clean. I'm going to keep it real now. When I saw the video of Sonia Massey, I said a few words that I can't repeat because he really doesn't understand. She called for help and that monster decided to shoot her in her face because she said something to him and he didn't like it. I don't understand how he was able to work at 6 different police stations and they don't look into why he was let go. It just doesn't make any sense. Just going proper real talk. So till the next time, people, stay blessed and keep following your dreams no matter what.
Tishi Thomas, thank you for keeping it real. We need the real talk. We're going to go there another time with the Sonia Massey because that's, yeah, it's massive. Yes. And I know you touched on it on the Simply Together show. We kind of do what we want to do on this show. You guys are out there. If you've got anything to say, that's why you've got the chat. You know how to contact us directly. Shell, can you let me know? I'm going to bring, if Bob's there, let's bring him on. Have we got any more viewers on our YouTube channel? Bob Baker.
Look, I didn't see anything pop up. So we have.
Well, one. I don't know. You have cluck. You have watch.
Listen, right. Me never know what's doing at 7:15. Me look on the thing. I miss 7:15. Miss. You know what I mean? So you tell me that we should have been on, and me never did know. But I know it was tonight, but I wasn't quite sure what time. Sorry.
That's why I sent you the time, Bob. No worries. Because I'm going like, where is he? So yeah. So greetings everyone. We're just wrapping up now, but as we wrap up, if you don't know, gentleman here, Bob Baker, always doing so much for the community. So thank you for coming on, Bob. But you do have an event that you just want to share with the guys. You'll see more of the information. It's going across the screen there. We'll be sharing it on our pages also as well. So, Bob, do you want to tell the guys what's coming up?
All I'm about 4 minutes. I just want to say basically, right, 5 minutes. Before I touch on, this barcode thing, right, I've been listening intently to Syphil and Michelle, and I'm really touched by it, So for me, it's not about my event. They are part of a bigger whole picture, in terms of that bit. I did see the Knife Angel, actually. I'm talking about how things were and how it is. Even the High Sheriff, Bash, I know him very well. And he was there, and in Father. And it's so good, really, right, to see Syphil and Michelle, fantastic couple, role model, I mean, for me, that means a lot more than what I'm going to talk about, because I tell you what, the young people, we talk about legacy, and to me, that's very, very important, in terms of that. So I have to get that out of the way firstly. And
that's fine, Bob. That's fine. And it's not a case of we're bringing it down from where it was. It is still up there, that event. And I mean, what they're doing and all the rest of it, and that's absolutely fine. Bob was going to be on earlier on, guys, but we just got carried away. So Bob's now going to share.
No, I'm going to share barcode, but just people want to realize really about Syphil. It's not just about the Knife Angel. He's coming from a long, long way,
Let's see. Exactly. He didn't just reach.
Long way. Anyway, going on to this barcode festival. The whole aim of it is to bring the African and the Caribbean community, people them together, through arts, culture, and music. And this is the 3rd year. We've had 2 successful years, and it's going to take place on the 31st of August at Marsh Farm, which is Brabenton Road, the park just across the road from McDonald's. People at Sunderland Park on the corner of Brabenton Road. And we talk about like bringing communities together. I mean, it's all right, like I said, talking about the aspiration. But for me, really, right, it's about local people coming together, exchanging, sharing, that sort of thing. On the day, really, right, you're going to see African dancing, proper traditional African dancing that you wouldn't see before. You're also going to see a massive, really good stage. One of the performers there is going to be Askala. She's a locally based international artist, really strong, powerful woman, and a Rasta woman as well. When I say Rastafari, because, we don't often see, positive Rasta people in our community anymore. They seem to die out. So that's one element. But also, we're going to have the zest of a lot of young people that's going to be performing, and I don't want to go into all the names and such forth. What we got, people from the Somali community, Nigerian community, Ghana, and such forth. But also, we got some old timers as well. We got a performer named Frenchy King, and he's actually sort of sang with the likes of Alton Ellis and all that. We got a proper a band as well. You can't beat live music, live band.
No, you can't.
When the feel of it. So I mean, last year, the rain came, but people come out in droves. You can hear the music all around, and also, you're gonna get the garments, the fashion, the clothes, the food, all different kind of, rangabang and things like that. So it's a day really, right, to come out. It's for children as well. It's a free event.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's key to people. That they need to know how much is it going to. They need to know how much is it going to cost. But it's a free event.
It's a free event. Yeah, and it won't cost anything, but all we do ask really, right, that people just come and enjoy themselves, and good manners and good taste and etiquette. That, yeah. And yes, I don't want to say too much more about it. Just say, you know, thank you for having me at this late hour.
Isn't it?
And I'm hoping, oh yeah, we're just recovering. I'm just recovering from Sunday, midlife crisis. This play was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Well, Alan,
gutted I missed it.
really,
Gutted
really
it.
good, you know?
Excellent.
And I know some people been to reggae land, and you
Yes.
know, and what for. So we got to keep the arts, the culture, the education. We got to keep that going. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Time.
That is very good, Bob. We'll get you on the Simply Together show in a week or so, and that's Tuesday lunchtime, and you can sort of like cover that off again, because we've got a few more weeks, haven't we, before the actual event.
Definitely,
so that's great. So there's going to be exhibitors there as well, foods. Oh my gosh, a whole heap of things going on. So what's the time again of the event, Bob?
The time from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
1 till 7.
1, finish at 7. So there's going to be also
Excellent.
so-called mayors and high sheriff and all sorts. But the most important thing really about is our local people. It's about them. It's not about the establishment.
Yeah.
I have to say that sometimes people get it twisted. They get it the wrong way around. But you know, last year we celebrate Windrush with the elderly. You know, and that's very, very good, because it's all about community cohesion. Yeah.
Fabulous. All right, Bob, I'm going to let you go because we're signing off now. So thank you. Thank you. And we'll get you. Don't worry, darling. Thank you. We'll get you on the show really soon. Okay.
Bye for now.
All right. Thanks. All right. No worries. Bye. Okay, guys, we are wrapping up. Where's that producer woman? Oh my giddy aunt. Woo. Wow.
Just a bit.
Yeah. So when I say like, just because we had less people, the content is like, oh, okay. You know, everybody out there, there's work to be done. There is always work to be done. And that work starts with yourself. That's where it starts, with yourself. So we need to ensure we look after ourselves. Self-care is not just a word. We need to make sure we do that. Self-care. Oh, we have the community Zoom this Thursday. What's that? We ain't going to tell you. If you don't know, you don't know. I suggest you join us and find out. This Thursday, 7 till 9-ish. Yeah, 9. We said it. 9. We're going to go. So much is happening. Please take care of yourselves, guys. Please take care of yourselves, your family. We're just wrapping up, as we sort of said. And one of the things that Si said, which I don't know, takes me back to like COVID times really, and he was sort of saying how, say, like where he lives, there's some young kids and their bikes need fixing or whatever, and that's what he did. And it's like, it's COVID times, we helped each other far more than we do now.
Yeah.
And yes, we're glad COVID is over. At the same time, there's certain things you want to let go of during that time, but certain things we need to hold on to, and that's caring more. Do you know what I mean? You know, when we share stuff, we say support where you can. If you can't, you can't. But before you share, I don't know, something that's rubbish, why not share the link? Why not share? We've had guests on the show. Why not share their information? Your friend, your cousin, your sister, oh, do you know what? I'd love to go to that. I love bingo. Plus I'm donating to a good cause as well. It's win-win, isn't it? I know for a fact that the Simply Deez crew, we going to be going. And you know, I know Fight Gone Rocco. Just warning you, Mecca. Because they'd lot be house. Put your hand down, that's not house. Put Put your glasses on. But no, in all seriousness, Knife Angel, George Street, definitely going to get down there. It's not supposed to look pretty.
No, but the close-ups that those few pictures that were then on there.
It's a reminder, yeah.
And if you actually look at the knives on those close-ups, they are all kitchen knives. They're not, well, the majority of them are kitchen knives. They're not like everyone assumes, oh, like the knife crime that you actually see on the street is all these big machetes and it's all these kind of hunting knives and stuff like that. No, they just arm themselves with the knife that's in your drawer. And do you know what your kids are doing? Would you know that a knife is missing out of your drawer?
That was a question that was asked. It's like, how many knives you got? And I was like,
yeah.
Would you know if a knife was missing?
Yeah.
It's a question, everybody. Do you know how many kitchen knives you've got?
Yeah.
And would you know if one was missing?
Yeah. Anything that can fit in their pocket or fit in the band down their trousers. Yeah, in their boxers. Down the sock.
Talked about that, yeah.
Parents in their bra.
Yeah. Parents, carers, uncles, aunties, friends. That's your brother. That's your sister. You can look out for one another. So we could chat on and on. Thank you, Munya, for your comments in the chat. Tishi, Sandra, Cecile, massive thanks to our guests who, once again, just like everybody else, I'm sure, are busy. But do you know what? There are so many messages. I'm watching this back tomorrow. Yeah, we are so grateful. We are going to be back. Real Talk with Simply Deez. Oh my gosh. Tell you what, you don't even want to watch September's show because we might be revealing some things. Yeah, she's like, I don't know about that. I said September. Let's see what happens. Thank you all. And anything more from you, Shell?
No.
Don't forget, book 3, guys, book 3. When that deadline reaches, please, nobody message me and say, Dee, I missed the deadline. Exactly. You missed the deadline, not me, you.
All you need to do is just send the email into simplydeezevents@gmail.com and just say book 3 as the subject title and just say I'm in.
Is that why all those messages are coming in saying book 3 is the title?
Don't need to fill out a form, don't need to do anything else. You decided that you didn't like it, so it's like, no, just send the email and you're in.
Fabulous. We'll be sending out information, community Zoom Thursday. More information will be there. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Please share. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. But take care of yourselves. And for those looking after the young people during the holidays,
help is out there.
Yeah. And for those that aren't looking after young people during the holidays, do you know what? When you see them, that is your son, your daughter. So if something's not right, yeah. All right, we're out here.
I do keep getting tagged in things that I am an auntie and a mother to quite a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's got more than they think they have. All right, I need to eat. Have you not eaten? Yeah, I have, but I'm still hungry. All right, guys.
See you later.
See you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.